because like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But a lot of people are like, dude, because I would go on big podcasts, and they would be like, dude, you should be. The listeners would be like, you should start your own podcast. Yeah. Like I've been on Black Rifles Coffee podcast. Andy Stumps, who's been on Joe Rogan's like, I don't know, a dozen times by now. Ed Manifesto, he is. So I've been on his and other ones, and then people were like, dude, you got to start your own podcast. But I didn't know how to start it. Should I do commercials? Because some have commercials in between, some have commercials in the front or the end or whatever. And I think, because there's some podcasts that I listen to, and I don't like it when they break it for the commercials. I think it disturbs the flow. And then I know some don't want to talk about certain things, or they only want to ask specific questions, and it's kind of like, and okay, next question, and it's like, no, I free flow, whatever it is, you know?
I like that. Just organic and natural.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan podcast is great. I love that dude.
Yeah.
I think it's just interesting because I think it's kind of frustrating how people's perspective of Joe. I just think he's misunderstood. In no way am I a spokesman for him, but like, I think the guy just asks questions. He's genuinely curious.
Yeah.
And I think that's unique and cool. But, you know, there's been this whole political mess, and it's just kind of changed, I guess, his persona from some people's perspectives. But yeah. I like it. I love the podcast.
Oh yeah, I love his podcast. I mean, but his guests called what's happening now. They called it a long time ago. And at the beginning, they were saying like, hey, there's this ideology that's happening in colleges, not all colleges, but some. And then they were like, hey, it's going to spread out into the U.S. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people were like, whatever, this is some shit that's happening in the colleges only. And then it spread out, and now 2022, we're here. You're like, oh shit.
It's a really weird political time, economic time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. We'll probably be reading about this in the history books, soon enough. But I think the financial times right now are just fascinating with everything that's happening with, the Federal Reserve trying to control inflation, the political scene, these college campuses, the polarity of the right versus the left. So it's just kind of an interesting time to be witnessing what's happening.
It's a weird time. I think they're going to look back from right now and kind of like how we look at people like 50 years ago and be like, man, they were dumb. What the fuck were they thinking? I think they're probably going to look at us like, what the hell were they thinking?
And be like, what's up with this OG pumpkin guy? What is OC Ramps doing? Yeah.
So throughout all this, how's work been?
It's been good. It's been chaotic. It's, again, I guess in parallel to the weird economic times, it's just, it's not very predictive. Some days you're slammed busy. Other days you're like, wait, is the economy going in from a recession to a depression? What's happening? So we generally try and take advantage of the slow times. Anytime that there's slowness, we'll try and pivot ourselves to take advantage, either revamp our sales website, product line, team of skateboarders. So I guess it's always busy. Today was hectic, it's...
Is this the first time you've done a celebrity house?
No. This was a first time we built for Ben Affleck. That was a first. But a good majority of our clientele tend to be the A-list celebrities and brands and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. I think, so we've been doing this for, building skate ramps and skate parks for about 18 years now. And it really, the first celebrity, honestly, was probably 12 years ago plus. Mm-hmm. And one of them was Will Smith. And He's in the heat of it right now too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know.
He's kind
Some
of
people I used to love Will Smith, and then after that scenario, I was like, I don't know, man, what's going on? You used to be cool.
The Fresh Prince was really cool. So yeah, we did a ramp for him. That was for Jaden. All of these guys have kids that skate. So it's generally not for the celebrity. It's for their kids that skateboard or want to skateboard and that type of thing. So back then, Jaden was a little kid, same with Willow, and yeah, they wanted a mini ramp at their house. It was kind of unique because the ramp went inside one of their living rooms. Whoa. And so that was the first. We pull up to the site, and generally we build them, side yard, backyard, something like that, a little mini half pipe. And they're like, no, it's going to go in, this little game room, living room, wing of the house. So we built that, but, we did a really good job at it, and we try and be respectful. Like when we show up, we're not bringing out our cell phones, and if we meet them, we're not asking for photos or anything like that. So I think that goes a long way, because what ends up happening is that'll turn into a referral. These A-list celebrities, trust and confidence are huge factors to them. And so if they find a service worker that does a great job, is honest, legit, and that type of thing, then they're going to pass that name and number around. And that's exactly what happened. After that, we got a call from Johnny Depp, another guy in the limelight lately. Yeah. Man. And so, and then it just kind of went from there. They're passing our, name and number to everybody else. So most of these guys are in the LA County. So it's Beverly Hills, it's Calabasas, Malibu. Malibu is kind of a funny one because they're interesting. Like if you were to define Keeping Up with the Joneses, go to Malibu. Yeah. We'll do a ramp at someone's house. And even if it's not a celebrity, like we've done Mike D from the Beastie Boys over there, Matt Bellamy, the lead singer of Muse, over there. Wonderful people, but their neighbors. Like we'll build a ramp, and then a week later we'll get a call or an email from the neighbor, and they're like, you built this ramp for my neighbor. It was 12 feet wide. Well, I want it a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. We're like, okay, whatever, we'll build that for you. And then like a month will go by, and their neighbor's like, hey, you built this ramp for my neighbor Bob. I want to go a little bit bigger. And damn. I mean, it's cool for us, but it's like I would not want to necessarily live amongst that, just constant competition and upping your neighbor and stuff like that. But so no, it's been really fun. It's been a fun journey. Obviously, we've met a lot of cool people along the way. With the business that really started out of a garage as a kid. So it was never initially intended to be where it is today, but we're absolutely grateful it is.
So who started it? You did?
I did, yeah. Yeah, so the first ramp, so I'm 38. How old are you guys?
32.
34.
Okay, so we're all in the same realm. So yeah, like in the 90s, so when I was in the 90s, or when I was in the 90s, I guess I would have been in, late elementary and middle school. And so skateboarding obviously was big where I grew up in Huntington Beach. And so just like most kids that would skate in the 90s and even the 80s, it's funny back then, if you guys remember when someone would do a remodel or an addition to their house, they'd put all their materials on their driveway.
Yeah.
And no one does that anymore. But back then, that was the norm. And so you could have, someone on your street that's doing some add-on or remodel, and they set 100 sheets of plywood and 200 2x4s on their driveway. So, what's a 5th or 6th grader going to do when he needs to build a ramp? You're going to go by and pick up a few pieces. So we kind of, me and my buddies would build these ramps like this, and but they never came out completely finished. They were janky. It's like building a ramp out of pallets. They're just kind of sketchy. So it wasn't until I was in middle school, and so I think I was 13. I asked my dad. I said, "Hey, for Christmas, Thrasher came out with these plans in one of their magazine issues for that month to build like an 8-foot wide quarter pipe that was about 3 or 4 feet tall. So I said, I want that for Christmas. That's all I want. And, you know, I don't want to steal the wood. I want us, you know, let's make it legit. So that's what we did. We went to Home Depot, bought all the pieces, and we spent 3 days from sunup to sundown building this quarter pipe. And every day all my neighbors and all my buddies would come by and they're just frothing, you know, to skate.
Yeah.
And, you know, is it time yet? Is it time yet? And it's so funny looking back now. It was a quarter pipe. You would think that we're building like, you know, some mega ramp. Took 3 days. And so when we finished, when my dad and I finished with the ramp, everyone was hyped on it. And at that time, it was probably the most professional ramp that any of us had ever skated. And so sadly, my dad thereafter, he was a healthy guy, but he was having issues with his motor skills and was diagnosed with brain cancer. And unfortunately, passed away within 2 years.
Yeah.
So I was a freshman when he passed, and my older brother, Brandon, came to me and he's like, hey, I think you and Dad were on to something. Let's pay honor to him. Let's try and remake this quarter pipe, and let's see if we could actually sell these. You know, everyone's been asking about them, and that's really kind of the foundation of how we started. And I mean, obviously, we're kids. We weren't slinging, thousands of ramps by any means, but it just started off of a driveway there in Huntington Beach, just building these one-off quarter pipes, and ultimately grew from there.
Yeah, now you're everywhere. I feel like anytime I see a Instagram clip of this crazy event and they happen to have anything related to skateboarding, or there's some type of competition, I can tell OC Ramps. Dude, you guys are everywhere.
Thank you. No, we appreciate that. And we try. I mean, that's our goal, is to be everywhere, everywhere at once. I mean, when I got into this, and again, it was a hobby, you know, at that age, it was not necessarily a business. But I think part of the reason why my older brother and I at the time were talking like, hey, we should start making these ramps, is because there was no one around in the 90s that sold ramps. You could find a carpenter to build you a backyard ramp. And, you know, I think some of the pro skateboarders back then had contacts for a handyman to build them, like a personal skate park. But there weren't any like established businesses building skate ramps. And then the whole skate park part of the industry was just being born at that moment. I mean, even more so in the early 2000s. Were there some skate park builders that existed in the 90s? Sure. But even in Orange County, if there's any skate park that was built prior to the year 2000, it typically was done by just a concrete contractor. Yeah. Have you skated BB Skate Park in Mission Viejo?
No.
It's honestly not far from here. It's one of the world's worst skate parks ever. It is like, I mean, there should be all sorts of memes. You're always looking for memes.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you been to Camp Pendleton? Whoever made that fucking skate park at Camp Pendleton didn't know anything about fucking skateboarding. Like, they put together things that didn't even make sense.
Right.
Leave it up to the military to fuck someone up like that, like always.
Leave it to the government.
Yeah. People give too much credit to the government. Like, I was stretching out right before jiu-jitsu class, and one guy's like, yeah, man, the government's going to take over. They're going to tell you what to do, and they're going to have brigades come out to every street. And I was like, when I hear crazy talk like that, I usually just let it go. But like, it was just right next to me, and I was like, look, man, let me say something. I was like, look, I was in the special operations community, and I wasn't part of any secret brigade. I don't know of any secret brigades. There's no specialized units that are going to come out here to take over your gun and keep you in your house and whatever. I'm like, you understand the people that they would think, even if they wanted to, will go to tell them to go do it. It's us. Like, You're not gonna tell a gun guy to go take a gun because he's not. That's not what we do. We don't believe in that. They can't force us to do stuff like that at the end of the day. And there's no special secret units. So whatever it is, you're giving too much credit. And they're like, no. I was like, look, let me tell you something. I was in the special operations community, and you would think we have the best and the brightest, and we never fuck up. But that's not the reality, okay? I'll never forget, we were getting ready for our biggest training event of the year. It's a multi-million-dollar training event, right? We're about to jump out of planes, land on airfields, and take them over. And everyone's rigged up to the parachute, and we're waiting, and we're like, what the fuck, man, I gotta pee. Let's kick it on this fucking bird and jump out. Let's do this. And they're like, oh, there's a holdup. And I was like, what happened? They're like, well, why are we delayed? I'm like, oh, there's no fuel for the bird. So all the planes, they flew in, but nobody decided to have fuel for them to do this so they can take off. So they're like, how? So he's telling me a multi-million-dollar, we flew in people from all over the U.S. and there's no fuel to even do this. Okay, if we fuck this up, do you think we're gonna have enough to have specialized secret units? Like, dude, you give too much credit to the government. Stop.
Unreal. Yeah. So good luck building a skate park.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Fucking.
You can't fuel up a plane, but no. Yeah, the government could be frustrating. Just go to the DMV.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Just try and register, your new car or get your license updated and everything. But yeah, no, I believe it. That doesn't sound far-fetched whatsoever, sadly. But yeah, so I bet you I've never been to the park in Pendleton, but I bet you it was just designed by some guy behind a desk, and then the builder that put a bid and won the project was just a local. Is it concrete or?
It's concrete.
Yeah, so it's probably just a local concrete guy, and so they don't understand pitches and the radius transition and how much flat bottom or how much coping needs to be recessed or sticking out, all that stuff. And that is just like BB Skate Park down the street, like literally 3 miles from here. They have a bowl. If you can imagine just like a cereal bowl, and just make that life size, like 12 feet in diameter. That's the bowl that they have there. There's no flat bottom.
Yeah.
And then there's no flat in the coping. It's just continuous, and round. I mean, it's pretty unskateable. But, so anyways, yeah, that was kind of, back then, there was no one that did this. And so when we saw an open market, that's why I wanted to dive into it. And then, so we started making ramps in high school. And then when I got to college, I just went to, so it was at Edison, in Huntington Beach. And then I went to community college at first, here at OCC. So
I went to OCC.
Yeah, dude, OCC is legit.
Fuck yeah.
All three here. Yeah. Dude, people don't realize of all community colleges, that one's probably one of the best in the nation.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. 100% in the nation, yeah.
Did you guys ever I had this happen a couple of times. Well, I remember in a math class that I took for a month because I realized I didn't need it and dropped it. Screw you, calculus. I'm so glad I was able to drop that class. But then that got switched for statistics, so that was not fun.
Not any better.
Right, yeah, that one sucked. But my calculus teacher, I remember day one, he said, hey, all you guys in here are smart kids because you guys paid about $200 to be here for the whole semester for that class. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm a USC professor. I teach the same course, the same curriculum, in the same manner, everything identical. And I don't know what USC is now, a semester, 50 grand. I have no idea. But they're more than $200. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So and so anyways, that happened a couple of times. I had a marketing teacher, Mr. Morgan. That guy was rad. And he owned some multi-million-dollar marketing and advertising firm in Newport Beach. And he was semi-retired, and he just thought, hey, I think teaching at community college would be a fun thing to do. And so here you have this super successful businessman that is bored, lives in Newport Coast, and just wants to teach his passion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. So if anyone's local going to OCC, you're in good shape.
It's a great school. My microbiology teacher and biology teacher were some of the best instructors ever.
Yeah.
My biology teacher got me to, realize that I thought I was working hard. He was running ultra marathons while he was teaching. Never came in tired or complained or whatever. He did talk about his ultra, and he'd be like double digits, triple digit races, and then he'd go race and come back and I was like, how do you find time to train up for that? Teach us, grade our papers, do office hours, do all this stuff. And he's like, you just get up and do it, and you have more time in the day than you think once you stop watching TV and being on your phone so much and doing things that cut all that BS. And then I'm like, damn, you taught me my biology class, but also some life lessons. I love that school.
No, it's a good school. I think my graduating class was one of the worst classes in high school because I think 99.9% of us just migrated over to OCC. I don't know, was it the same for you at Ocean View?
I went to OCC a little bit later. So,
okay.
Yeah, after years I graduated.
Gotcha.
But mostly everyone went to OCC or Golden West.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about Golden West. I know that one's close.
It's close, but
I know there's a swap meet there.
Yeah,
that
seriously.
I sometimes go and get churros.
Churros.
OCC's the best.
Yeah, I'm with it. So yeah, no, it was there that the driveway could only occupy like 5 quarter pipes at my mom's house, and so clicked the idea. I was dating a girl that was obsessed with IKEA. And so, yeah, just one day I was like, you know what? I don't have enough room on this driveway for these ramps. How could I pump these out? And ironically, you mentioned swap meet. That was going to be where I sold to next.
Yeah.
And so this would put us in in the 2002, 03 era. And back then the swap meet was a big pop in place.
It was.
On both spots, the Golden West one, the OCC location, those were huge. And so, yeah, I merged the idea. I thought, hey, wouldn't this be cool to create an IKEA furniture kit, but do it for skateboard ramps? So that way, I could save space on, save real estate on the warehouse, aka mom's driveway. And then secondly, having a kit would be cool because then the customer could put the ramp together and feel a sense of accomplishment and they're fun.
And you do, because I did.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you guys did. Yeah, you and Benji, all you guys have bought and assembled those ones, right? So did he throw you with a drill and tell you to assemble any of them?
Yeah, I remember he's like, oh, dude, here's a drill. And I'm like, bro, I'm not a carpenter. He's like, it's simple. And I fucked up a few screws, but after a while, it was pretty easy. And it took a long time because we assembled a bunch of stuff and we were fucking around. But afterwards, I'm like, and seeing everybody skate it, I was like, dude, that's fucking dope. That was dope.
Yeah, no, thanks. And so that was kind of the idea. So at that point, OC Ramps was born. Prior to that, my last name is Large, and so I thought it would be funny as a teenager, naming the business Large Wood Ramps, and I mean, typical dumb little skate kid. But I didn't think that through. Well, I didn't think it through because I'm like, longevity-wise, I don't know if...
As a businessman?
I don't know as a business if this would be smart and stuff. But I thought, back then, oh, man, my T-shirts are going to be awesome. They're going to be... Yeah, right? Everyone's going to want one of these T-shirts and sticker and all that stuff. So, we, with the help of the older brother, he's like, I think we should, update the name. And, there was...
Do you have any shirts, though, that said Large Wood Ramps?
You know what? I only had one made, Ironically, at the swap meet.
Yeah.
You know, because they could do custom,
right then and there.
you know, screen printing and stuff. It's so funny to look back at that era. I don't know if you guys trip on this too, but it's so weird because I don't feel like that was, you know, the early 2000s was really that long ago.
Nope.
No.
You know, but that was when, and this makes us sound so old, but that was when the internet was kind of being, obviously it existed, but not many people had access to it at that point.
Yeah.
You know, remember getting those like AOL discs in the mail? It's like AOL like 2.0. And then
I
like,
don't even have a fucking computer. What the fuck?
right, dude.
400 hours free.
Yeah. And then like you'd have to use the dial-up, you know. I remember we had 2 lines at my house, and you know, we'd connect one to the internet, and it would take 10 minutes just to log into AOL and stuff. But what's fascinating is back then, you know, I couldn't go online and just create my own t-shirt. Like now, dude, you could find a million places right now with a 30-second Google search of where I could create a custom screen printed shirt, you know, or go on Etsy, eBay, whatever it is, Amazon. And so anyways, I literally think I went to the swap meet to scope out like, okay, where's my spot going to be that I'm going to sell to?
Yeah.
I saw a screen printer guy. So I tell him what I want made. He laughed, made me that one shirt. But no, I don't know where that shirt is.
Dude, you gotta do another
fire it
run.
back up.
You gotta do another
dude.
run.
You gotta fire it up.
Yeah, if it's at like a Salvation Army out there somewhere in the world or whatever, I'd love to have it back. But so that was kind of a fun shirt to design and everything. But yeah, so our family has a classic vintage car that's super rare. It's a 1949 Chrysler convertible, but it's a Woody. And so I used to go with my dad to these car shows, and it was purely for your car had to be a Woody. And it was the funniest thing because I'm walking by and then they're passing out these shirts, and fully straight faced, they're like, hey, you know, you're a size medium, large, whatever. They throw me the shirt and I open it up. And it's like this cartoon figure with this car, and the lettering says, awesome, I'm getting a Woody. And like, so I read this, and then I just look back at like the table, the booth that gave it to me, and they're just like totally normal. There's nothing funny about that statement. And I'm like, wait, you guys are really giving these out? Yeah. And no, so I got a lot of laughs out of that shirt. So between that, the Woody car shirt, and then large wood ramps, I was a little shithead. But so OC Ramps was born, and then started doing these random celebrities, and then here we are. But the events, you know, going back to what you're saying about like seeing us doing the events, that took a turn for our business, which was interesting. So my older brother and then my younger brother also helped me out as well. So our whole family, we're generations of entrepreneurs. You know, I don't know if that's a positive thing to say about us, or it just means that we don't like working for other people.
It's a positive thing, man. Yeah. And when did you feel like oh, dude, I gotta take this serious. I'm a businessman now. When?
That's a good question. I think probably around the time that I got married, which was back in 2008. And so back then I was like, okay, so that was obviously at the slow, really bad time of the economy, right? Recession. So at that point, it was, again, another very interesting economical time period. And at the time, I was in business with my older brother still. And he was a general contractor down in Aliso Viejo, building like add-ons, remodels, you know, the whole bit. And then the younger brother is now a plumber. So the three of us were kind of involved, and the business was profitable, but I mean, I'm sure you guys talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. Just because a business is profitable doesn't mean everyone's taking home a slice of the pie, right? Because you might need to keep funds in the account to, hey, next year we want to get a forklift, or maybe next year we want to completely revamp our website, and that's going to cost 10 grand, 30 grand, whatever it is. So at that time, it was, not making a lot of financial sense for our personal bank accounts. I guess let's put it that way. And so, when I was, getting married, it was that pivotal time of, do we sell the business? Do we back off? Do I kind of buy out the older brother and go full throttle with the business? What do we do? So it's, really that come to Jesus moment, so to speak. So we actually, so I came to my brother and I said, hey, we want to buy you out. And he's like, dude, you don't have any money for it, so we're going to sell it. I'm like, all right, jerk. So we go to sell it, and what a great idea to try and sell a business in 2008.
Man.
So, we got like 2 phone calls, and it was, it was pretty desolate there. So then we figured out some creative financing, and then, I took over the business. And at that point, it was, okay, failure is not an option.
All in.
All in. I'm all in. I'm going to eat, drink, sleep, OC ramps. I'm going to write down a list of every idea I have for the business, and then I'm going to execute it. And that's exactly what happened. And I guess that's the blessing and curse of having high functioning anxiety and a slight amount of unhealthy OCD, was just that, failure wasn't in the cards. And so I wrote down a list, and I've been doing it ever since then. Ever since, I took over the business fully in 2008, was every single year, generally around the new year, I'll try and go meditate, find my place, and then I write every idea I could think of what I want to do to grow the business. And then throughout the year, the goal is cross it off. And that way, at least I kind of felt, hey, I could never come to a point and go, you know what? I didn't try hard enough. I didn't, I should have done this better. I should have executed, on this. If I go by my list, there's no regrets, not a single letter, and, so it was about that time, and, been going strong since. At the same time, it was kind of interesting because, just because I went full throttle with it didn't mean that all of a sudden, again, that personal bank account was growing and, exploding. So, again, another genius move was I thought it'd be great to get into real estate and to become a realtor. And boy, that was stupid. But no, so I jumped into real estate about 2007. And the idea was to kind of work, by working in real estate, I could kind of pay the bills, and then, OC ramps, at least I could, I'm not dependent on a paycheck out of the gate, and then I could keep growing the business and keep growing it. And that's exactly what happened. So honestly, it was the biggest blessing and smartest thing I could have done was getting into real estate at that time. And I'm still active with it now. Oh. So I still utilize, that real estate knowledge and everything. But, so yeah, my heart goes out to entrepreneurs that know that initial struggle, especially, those first few years, it's rough.
It is. And all the people that I've gotten very fortunate to talk to who have, these huge companies, when I hear them talk about stuff like that, it lets me know I thought I was fucking it up. I thought if you're an entrepreneur, every year is great and the next year is better than the year before, and it's always up and it's never down. And then once they talk about the struggles, it makes me feel like, okay, well then if they struggle, then I'm struggling. That's fine. It also helps when those people tell me, hey man, you know what you're doing? Keep it going. You got something. And I'm like, okay, feels good. What job or what year was it when you're like, there's no more, I have this. This is now it. Because you said that you were trying to go in, right? But like you said, just because you're going in doesn't mean it's fucking you're set.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, there was one point in time in that era where, you know, I was working 3 full-time jobs, but, you know, I didn't have kids at the time. I was trying to save up to, my number one priority at the time was to buy a house, because with the economy in the shitter, I thought, you know, what a better time. So that kind of was an influence to really hustle and get things moving. So no, I mean, so for those years coming out of the recession and the housing crisis, there was 3 full-time jobs on the table. And so I would say, honestly, again, this goes back to a debilitating amount of anxiety. I don't think I've ever felt, I still don't feel like I've got it in the bag.
Oh, sure.
And I go to therapy for that. Honestly, and that's a good and a bad thing, right? Yeah. It's a good thing because it means that I'm always swimming like there's a shark behind me. It's a bad thing because I'm always swimming like there's a shark behind me.
You gotta enjoy the moments.
Correct. And so I'm learning to do that. You know, I'm learning to do that. You know, meditation and you know, finding the headspace is important. So, but you know, with a slight caveat, I would say probably around 2012 was a good corner for us to turn on to with our skate team. And so we did, so prior to 2012, one thing that we were getting a lot of phone calls with my older brother is we would get these phone calls for rentals. From these companies that would say, hey, you know, can we rent a few ramps for a TV show, for a photo shoot, for a commercial, whatever it was. And we'd be like, nope, and hang up the phone. And so anyways, in 2008, when I took over, that was on my list, like turn into a yes man with those phone calls. So one of the first phone calls I got from an event company was someone that worked at Disney. And they're like, hey, we're working on a show. I think it was Zeke and Luther. Do you guys remember that show at all?
No.
It was a little bit younger generation than us. But supposedly, I think it was kind of like a Hannah Montana type of show, but like 2 brothers that skateboarded, or 2 friends that skateboarded. I don't know. But they needed some ramps on set. And so I said yes. And so that helped. That was a huge changing point for us, for the business, because all of a sudden, you know, we're showing up to the you know, these Disney lots or in Sony studios and all this stuff. We're dropping off these ramps, we're building custom ones, and then the cool part is afterwards we take it back and, you know, we could bring it back to the shop to skate with everybody else or whatever. Yeah. So we started doing these rentals, and ironically we got a call from Blue Cross Insurance. And they're like, we're doing a commercial over in San Pedro at the skate park that's under the bridge there. It's a cool little skate park. And they're like, we need this custom drop-in ramp, and we need a launch ramp. We need a skater to launch over like an 8 or a 10-foot gap. And so they gave me these dimensions. I'm like, yeah, we could do this custom setup. We'll go, you know, deliver it, set it up, the whole bit. So we did that, and I was on set for that job for over 12 hours. It was like a 14-hour day. And it was boring as all hell. You know, like you're all excited to be there, you build the ramps, and then they're like, okay, everybody, like we'll bring out the talent in 5 hours. And you're like, what am I supposed to do until then?
Wait,
yeah. So you're just waiting around.
Craft services.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Craft
Small
services.
talks.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, I'm at the craft services table, you know, checking out the candy and whatnot. And anyway, I met one of the skateboarders, one of their talent, and he was awesome, Christian Shreka, and this kid was so on point with his skating. It was incredible. Like even the first take that they did, Christian just dropped in and he did a back 3 over the gap and landed it. And I was just like, bro, do you need to like test anything before? He's like, nope, I got it. So he was super on point with his skating. And as we were there for the 14 million hours of the day, we got talking, and I, told him my idea that, hey, I've always had this idea of, I see these skateboarders have their signature shoe with Nike or, whoever it is, Etnies, all these guys, they have their signature skateboards, their decks. They have all these products, but no one is making a signature ramp or a skate rail.
Yeah.
And so I thought, how cool would it be to go to these skaters and say, hey, Angel, what is it that you like to skate? And you could be like, dude, I love this ledge at this particular skate park, the Etnies skate park just down the road. That's my favorite thing. And then I would take a look at it, see how we could condense it to, fit it in a FedEx box, whatever. And then boom, we could add that to the website. People could order the Angel ledge. Mm-hmm. And that has a nice touch to it, right? And then you could get a royalty. So it's kind of a win for everybody.
Yeah.
And so right after that insurance commercial, we get back. We met a few times, Christian and I, and then we organized this skate team. We brought on guys like Greg Lutzka. We brought on Manny Santiago, Ryan DeCenzo, and then OGs like Ronnie Krager. He was very influential, to us in the 90s. So once we created the skate team, I think that's really where we're like, okay, I think we're on to something.
Yeah.
We're doing good. I'm still going to swim like crazy, but I think we've turned away from being just a hobby or a garage business. We've established a little bit more legitimacy and credibility.
And then at this point, were you guys already in Santa Ana or not yet at that warehouse?
So we had been, after the garage days, we went straight into Santa Ana. I've always been in Santa Ana. So once OC Ramps was born in Santa Ana. We were first set up. I've always been, where our warehouse is, right off of Dyer and Warner, more so, Warner and Grand. We've always been within about a 1 mile radius. So the first warehouse was, mile and a half down the road. Really small, like 1,500 square foot building. And then at the time that I formed the team, we were on our second warehouse. In total, we've had 4 locations. Okay. So we're at our 4th now, and we never plan on leaving there. We'll at least always be established there, even if we expand elsewhere. But we brought on the team, and then we started doing more events. And then what was cool with the events and the ramp rentals is we could say, hey, now we could actually bring professional talent to show up to your event. Yeah. Not only am I going to set up this ramp, for, whoever to skate, but guess what? We could bring these guys, they're in X Games, they're in Street League, Do Tour, allow us to kind of bring that wow factor to your party, event, or whatever. And so, we started doing these corporate events for random people. Ironically, we did AOL. AOL, honestly. I'm like, is Messenger still a thing? But it's always been a hustle. We're always trying to grow. But like you said, there are certainly moments where I sit back and say, and I try to enjoy the road. Yeah. And but I will say I do struggle with that aspect. That is a principle that's hard.
I struggled with that in my military career. I not that I guide, young men into special operations. I tell them enjoy the journey, because I used to think I took a lot of pictures, and then looking back, I didn't. I was just so stuck in it, and it's almost a decade. And then when you get out, you realize, dude, that was such a huge part of your fucking life, of you becoming a kid who didn't know anything about life, or didn't have much knowledge, and then developed into a young man. And then, you know, I used to think I was a man before I joined the military. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm a man. I wasn't, man. I was a boy, you know, but I don't have that many pictures to share it because I wasn't enjoying it. And now what I'm trying to do is enjoy OG Pumpkin as much as possible. And you know, Benji, and when I met Benji, I'm glad I met him before everything's been kicking off for him, because I remember he was like, it was in the valley. We were working at this private client's ranch, and they have a valley in their ranch. That's how big this ranch is. And I was like, dude, I was like, you know, you're gonna do good things. You're gonna do big things, man. I had met him, and I like Benji. I love Benji and his whole family. And I can tell if he didn't stop, he was gonna create something really special. And this is before everything. And then now, I mean, he just held a barracks event at the barracks, not, you know, for his company name, not like, hey, I'm a veteran, I'm trying to do a veteran event, can you, and then them being facilitating that. No, they were like, oh, Benji for Thrash and Raid? Yes. You know, I'm like, bro, now we're skating at the fucking barracks. We should just be online and be like, oh, that's fucking dope, man. I wish you could just be over there. And now you're there, dude. Yeah. You got a team. You have a lot of support. You know, tell him to enjoy the journey, and I'm there to help him out. He's there to help me out. You know, where was who was on your side telling you, dude, don't stop, keep it going? You know, who are some of your friends that have been doing that or still doing that?
One of honestly, one of the strongest advocates is Lutska, that's on our team, Greg. Okay. He lives actually like a couple of streetlights from here. Amazing guy, amazing skateboarder. He's had and still is having a phenomenal career. And yeah, he's an incredible supporter. And so I think that, like you said, having friends to help push you along and advocate for you is massive. But going back to your photos, do other guys in your group or anything like have photos that they could share, that or were they the same, that no one took photos either?
No, actually I was one of the most, like I said, I didn't take as many, but yeah, to show you how little guys were doing it, I was seen as one of the guys that took too many pictures. Yeah. And occasionally some guys would. Like nowadays, there's the war that's going on in Ukraine. There's a bunch of GoPro footage.
Yeah.
But when I took one, everybody was like, "Why are you taking a GoPro to Afghanistan?" And I was like, "Well, because I want to record." I was like, "Why do you want to record this?" Now everyone records. You can get real life information of battles from the Ukraine, and then, well, not even the next day, but like the next hour, people load them up, and then it's all available, right? But at that time, it was.
Is that frowned upon, like within the military and everything, right?
It was. But I think now, because of social media, I see more videos and I see more pictures, so people are more like accepting. But last year, one of my buddies, he's like, "Oh, I'm not sure if you have this picture of you," and he sent me that, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't." Like, bro, that's awesome, and it was a super sick shot, and I'm like, bro, that's awesome. I was so happy. Showed it to my wife. Like, look at this. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about this day and this and that. And I'm trying to be better at enjoying the journey. You know, last Sunday, Benji and I were, and he said it was a $45,000 suite at the Rams game. We had a bartender.
Unreal.
And I was just like, dude, how the fuck did you and I end up here? Like two fucking knuckleheads, and we're here. And he's like, it's not random, man. We're here for a reason. And I'm like, man. And then I brought it up, man. I told you, I said it again. I was like, I'm glad I met you before anything kicked off, because you know I'm a true friend. I'm a real friend, and you're gonna do fucking great things, man, if you don't stop. And I'm doing way better at it. So that's why I tell dudes who are joining the military, dude, enjoy the journey. And maybe they don't understand when I give them all this info of how to prepare for the selection process and do's and don'ts when you get to your first unit, right? And then at the end, I always end it with enjoy the journey. Maybe they understand that, maybe they don't.
I think, you know, it's hard because obviously, I understand the words, but, you know, I think going through, for me, what I've been able to recognize as an adult, because for the longest time I couldn't figure out, like, why is my anxiety running so high, like, all the time? Mm-hmm. I'm not drinking Red Bulls and Rock Stars all day, you know? And so what is it? You know, I don't have like this, this caffeine absorbed in my body or anything like that. And I think a lot of it, honestly, it kind of goes back to seeing what happened, I think, with my dad. Mm-hmm. You know, he owned a business in Fountain Valley doing art. He owned an art gallery. And, you know, when he got sick, it was kind of one of those things where, you know, we had to sell the business. He's in his late 40s. And I think I could sit back again as an adult and recognize, okay, you know, he could have been more financially prepared for the family. Mm-hmm. But, and so I think, you know, for me, you know, getting a job at 16 and pretty much working, you know, full time thereafter had a little bit of its influence. And some for great, you know, it taught me a wonderful work ethic, but some of it negative where it's like, you almost can't flip the switch off. And so someone, you know, my own wife could be like, hey, enjoy the journey. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying, but the nervous system internally can't comprehend and flip the switch off. So, you know, what do I do now to try and turn the switch off? And I think that's come to doing exercise, finding my passions, you know, whether it's surfing or playing music, you know, playing the guitar and stuff, going in the jacuzzi, the sauna, meditating. I think things like that kind of help bring to a present moment. But and
then you mentioned therapy as well.
And therapy, you know, I think therapy is super helpful. You know, I didn't go up until just a few years ago, and holy crap, man! I think the first thing that you realize as an adult going to therapy is like, why the hell didn't I do this a long time ago? You know, this took way too long. But so what would you know, you say that you would have wanted to enjoy the journey longer, you know, in your service. What would you have told yourself, knowing what you do now?
Yeah.
What year, how old were you when you entered?
17.
Okay. So you've got your 17-year-old self beside you across the table. What advice would you tell him?
First, let go of the past, man. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure how much you know about my past, but I used to sell guns and drugs and was a gang member. And I'd be like, bro, like this, fuck all that, dude. Pay attention. Soak in all the great leadership that you have around you, and not just leadership, but peers. California is not the world. There are other people. Listen to them. They may not like the same music or your same hobbies, but later on you will. Like I had a buddy who was a great bow hunter, and he would fucking show us all his shit. And at the time, I couldn't appreciate it. I was like, whatever, dude. I mean, I could just go to the supermarket and get steaks. But now I'm like, I want to learn that, you know, and I wish I would have taken the time when he was right there, right next to me. Be like, yo, dude, teach me, take me. Like, I'll pay or buy whatever it is I have to. And listen to the people more, as opposed to, I'm fucking getting ready for war. I got to go get the best shape that I can. And this mindset of fucking, you know, I'm a ranger, fucking attack, or, you know, and honestly, say more thank yous to leadership and peers, because unfortunately, some of them, they leave, and by leave I mean they die. So, and I like my friend Pinnick. He was a very happy guy, super happy. He was 18 when I met him, and then he died not soon after that. And he was always a great friend, brought great energy. My last section leader, Christopher Solis, he just won after his death, he won the Medal of Honor. and he was my section leader. And I remember when I met him, Pinnick had just died, so I remember just being like, oh, he's my new section leader. Yeah, cool, whatever. I'm like, I just want to go back. I want to go back, and I want to go fight, and let's just go kill more. And now I knew that going back, and it didn't even matter how many of them we killed, it wasn't going to bring them back. But you couldn't have told me otherwise. I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't even listened. And meanwhile, I have this great leader who, you know, he was so nice and so kind, even to people that didn't deserve it. And I remember one time my car didn't start. I'm like, fuck. And he's like, and I didn't know shit about cars. And he checked it out, and he's like, oh, it's your starter. And then I'm like, man, is that expensive? He's like, if you go to a mechanic, yeah, but the starter itself is kind of cheap, and it's really just a simple, you know, do you do this, you do that. And he's like, I can do it. And he's like, go buy the starter, and then I'll do it during lunch. So during his lunchtime, that's what he did.
Wow.
I just went to get the starter, and then I went to go eat, and then he did it. And I wish I would just stayed there, watched him, thanked him, and then afterwards been like, yo, man, can I buy you a beer? Can I buy you dinner? But at that time I was just like, what is the next training exercise I need to get ready for? What is the next school I need to get ready for? When are we going to deploy so I can go back and get that fucking payback? And then I got out. I got out 2016. Right, went in 08, got out 2016, and then a year and a half later, he was killed, and nothing but fucking regrets. Not even have that many pictures with him. So.
Yeah, that's. I think that's good advice. But I mean, you said something where, you know, you mentioned it didn't matter at that point, you know, how many other people had you know, you guys had killed or whatever. It wouldn't have changed anything, and that just goes to the brain. The brain is a very interesting organ, isn't it? It's just that we could hear something, understand, you know, English or what's being expressed to us, but internally comprehend it a completely different way. And so yeah. The other helpful thing is microdosing. That
you microdose?
Yeah.
Dude, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
And I told my friend Ryan, he's like, oh, you're microdosing? And I was like, yeah. And he told me, he's like, how much do you take? I told him, he's like, that's not microdosing. You're getting fucked up.
How much are you doing? Oh, are you doing over like 25?
No, I don't. You know what my method? I have a huge, big ass bag in my freezer.
Yeah.
Well, now the cops all know where it's at. In my freezer, and I just pick a little guy, and I'm like, that looks good, and I just eat it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And sometimes it does me dirty because it'll be the tiniest one, and it'll be like, that looks nice and bright and shining. Take it. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh crap. Yeah, that was not a.
That's not a microdose.
That was.
Do you do capsules?
I do capsules, so I stick to like 250 milligrams.
Okay.
And you know that's I think anything more than that, and you start to feel something.
Yeah, you do.
So you know, I kind of played with it. You know, did 100 milligrams, nothing. 150, nothing. I've also noticed it depends what's in my stomach in terms of like, did I have breakfast that morning?
Yeah.
If I take it on an empty stomach. Then obviously I feel the sensation a little bit more. But yeah, so those I get from a buddy that was Navy Special Ops. Do
you ever go like a high dose? Let's just
macros. Yeah.
Let's just trip.
Yeah.
Besides mushrooms, have you tried any other psychedelics?
No, so this same buddy is a shaman, you know, and does the ayahuasca whole business, and I would like to try that. I'm a little bit nervous, though. I'm a little bit skeptical and hesitant just because of my anxiety.
Yeah.
That is a concern. Did you ever see the movie Inception?
Yeah.
With Leonardo DiCaprio and those guys? That movie is so well done. You know, it's done by Christopher Nolan, the director and screenwriter. That guy's a genius. You know, he did Memento and Interstellar and Tenet. Did you see Tenet?
Yeah.
The one that came out during COVID, where things are going forwards and backwards.
And Interstellar's good too.
All this. But what's fascinating though with Inception is it literally hit one of my biggest fears of, I guess in a way they kind of describe, what's the girl's name? Leonardo's wife. What's the character's name in that? Is it Mal or something?
In Inception?
Inception.
I forgot.
But like, so she kind of gets lost in the dream within the dream, right? And I mean, I guess in a way they're kind of describing psychosis, like, you know, being unable to distinguish what's real. And that's a fear. I have a huge fear of that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I haven't done all the psychedelics in the world, but I've tried a lot of them. I've tried DMT, ketamine, mushrooms, and then, I mean, some people say if you smoke a lot of weed, that's somewhat, it could be psychedelic or whatever. I don't know.
Can be, I guess, yeah, like hash and that type of thing.
Yeah, but the ketamine for me, DMT was great, but the ketamine, I thought I died. I thought I'm dead.
How long did it last?
Well, it felt like 15 minutes, 20 max.
Uh-huh.
My first, they call it a journey. The first journey, an hour and 45.
Wow.
And you could have, when they told me an hour 45, I was like, that was 20 minutes. You know.
But isn't that like Inception, right? Where they talk about like going in within a dream is a certain space of time. You know, time is measured a certain way.
Yeah.
And then when you go in another dream, it's measured another way.
Yes.
And so it's kind of fascinating because it's very similar to those hallucinogenics, where what's the toad one?
5-MeO DMT.
Yeah.
That. Where doesn't that last, like supposedly that lasts what, 10, 15 minutes? But I've heard people feel like they're on the trip for several months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that to me, like, I don't know, dude. That just sounds.
Well, the fact that you're doing mushrooms lets me know that you're open to the idea. I think maybe one day take Mike, who's my friend and boss. He's a former CEO. He probably knows that guy. And as a matter of fact, he probably went to him because Mike invited me to an ayahuasca, because he does ayahuasca. Your friend?
Yeah.
He does.
Mm-hmm. He's a shaman for that. Mm-hmm.
He told me for last May, and I was like, I told him yes at first, and then at the end I backed out because I was like, man, I don't feel like shitting myself and puking, because I hear you do that. And Mike said that's not everybody.
Right.
And I'm like, but just the fact that you have to say that's not everybody, I don't want to be that guy.
Dude, if you have to wear an adult diaper to the party, I don't know. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Marion Cotillard?
Yeah. But what's the character's name?
Mal?
What is it?
Mal?
That's
Mal?
right. Yeah, Mal.
So you think that you're going to lose a sense of reality?
I just wouldn't want, I think, again, and I know there are a lot of people, I'm not the only one here, like a lot of people that deal with anxiety have that same fear of just being like that toad one, of, you know, doing like a 10 or 15 minute trip, and then, but in it, you feel like it lasts months and months.
Or like
and
you
then
lost your mind.
And then, you're fearful that you're not going to return back.
Yeah.
And that I just don't want to kind of unlock. But it is it is a wonderful thing. I think, you know, these substances, when used for the proper setting, they could be really, really healing. And I think it's cool that obviously these have existed for thousands of years, but it seems like, you know, not until the last 4 or 5 years has it been more accepted and discussed about in society. I mean, Joe Rogan is an example of that too.
Yep.
He has a lot of individuals with PhDs, and, you know, they're promoting hallucinogenics, again, in the proper setting and stuff. I think it's just different. Obviously, when we were kids, when we were in high school, you know, I'd have buddies that would, you know, take some mushrooms and go to a party. And it's like, you know, now knowing what I know now, it's like, oh, that's the worst thing you could do.
Worst.
Yeah,
No
terrible.
wonder.
You don't want to do that.
They don't want to do them now because they had such bad trips then.
Right.
They're terrified now.
Right. But so we did one of the coolest jobs that we did was for a customer up in Pasadena and Malibu, all over. The house in Pasadena was a really cool bowl that we built, but he lives in a historical property. It was Albert Einstein's house when he was a professor at Caltech. So there's this huge tree like in the middle of the backyard that we couldn't cut down. So we built a bowl around it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it's actually pretty rad. It looks all organic. It looks like, yeah, you got this skate bowl and this little, bonsai type of looking tree in there. And so it's pretty rad. But I remember talking to that client that became our friend about this topic, and he's like, "Dude, you know what my wife does, right?" I'm like, "I actually have no idea." And he's like, "Dude, she owns a clinic down in Costa Rica. It's I guess the biggest one, and it's one of the first ones that they started where they do the guided ayahuasca trips and everything. And I'd love to go to Costa Rica, do a little surfing, session beforehand. But that side does worry me. So, the microdosing has been helpful. I did kind of a therapeutic macro dose. That's something else I think that is cool too, is that there are therapists out there that will do like guided trips on those.
There's a professional company, the one I did the ketamine therapy, they do guided, obviously ketamine, and then mushrooms as well.
Really?
And they're based in Santa Monica. Beautiful building. They own the whole floor, the whole second floor. Field Trip Health. Check them out.
That's interesting. And it is cool to see that within California, 3 cities now that have legalized it, like San Jose, San Francisco, and I forget the third. Where is it? Somewhere up north. But now, though a certain amount of psychedelics are legal. And so, I think that's good because, and then obviously Oregon opened up. But it'll be interesting to see over the next few years a little bit more of clinical trials of like maybe more research and science done behind these trips and guided trips with a therapist, and how they could truly help people that are struggling with certain mental health issues.
They're doing it now.
Right.
Have you seen that on the Netflix show How to Change Your Mind?
Yep.
And before I saw that, I had heard that they're like, hey, when I first started talking about psychedelics and me doing it, somebody sent me a link that they were looking for veterans. And then I remember thinking, well, I don't want to go do it. I'm already doing it. I think that slot should be for someone who's like, you know what? I've tried therapy, I've tried whatever, let me go do that. So I didn't feel right to take the slot since I already have access, I'm already doing it. But I think that's what they're going to start using for PTSD, which is Molly and then shrooms, because I know they're doing a lot of actual clinical studies with that. I wouldn't be surprised. I already know of guys who kind of like it. They were waiting for weed to be legalized, had already started working on their farms. I know a bunch of people already working on their mushroom farms or whatever you want to call it, because they're like, this is going to be legal. This is going to be the next thing.
No, you are right. I think John Hopkins has put some research into it. There's also a couple interesting TED Talks that discuss, these doctors that discuss the benefits of psilocybin. And there's one in particular that I remember the guy said that they did a case study of those that have done macro dose of some level of psilocybin, and he said that 80% of them said that it was one of the most profound moments of their life, equivalent to that of the birth of a child, getting married, or the death of a loved one. And so that really stuck out to me. And I could attest to that is fully accurate.
Yep.
And some people have said, you could knock out 10 years of therapy, in in one trip, in one session.
Oh, I agree. The first time I did, my first psychedelic was DMT, and I did it in my limo, because I met a friend, and he'd been a certain way, and I felt like he was chiller and calmer, and then they started like talking along with another friend. They were talking about certain things, hinting like psychedelics. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, he hasn't tried it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, he got DMT. He has a DMT pen. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, I want to do it. And he's like, I'll bring it tomorrow. And I was like, oh shit, like, oh, you serious? So when I did DMT, I remember thinking, oh, I'm high, so that's why I'm calm. And then the next day, I was like, well, how long does it last? Because I kind of feel kind of calm. And then on the third day is when I was like, oh, I still kind of feel this. And that's when I talked to my wife, Annalia, about it. I was like, at first I thought it was me just being, high the first day, but I was like, I feel like a layer of anxiety was stripped off. And then when I can't remember who I heard that from, it's almost like a year's worth of therapy in a session. I was like, that's what it feels like. And I had no idea how much stress. I knew I had some stress build up, some anxiety, but I didn't know how much. That when that layer was off, I felt like 100 pounds was taken off my shoulders.
That's incredible. No, I think hearing cases like that, that's what I think is so beneficial with these substances, is to help in those situations and everything. But again, I'm open to it, but I'm also very, hesitant, very cautious. I just don't want to, dabble too much, or I don't know. I just want, it's kind of a fine line that I'm juggling. So for right now, the microdosing seems to work, and I'd much rather prefer that over a prescribed medication.
Oh yeah.
All day, any day.
Yeah.
I mean, you read the side effects to any of those pills or any of those meds, and it's like,
it's comical. You're like, why would I take it? What the fuck?
It's like, I'd rather have the cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's just unreal. So, but yeah, so I think overall, the world is becoming a little bit less judgmental, more open. I think society is becoming more open to this topic. Because obviously, mental health is kind of at the forefront of really everything that's going on right now, in the world.
We were just talking about a video that a friend shared us, and it was in LA, right? Or it seems like it's in an LA setting.
It's in a bigger city.
And it's in a big city, and the dude has like somewhat of a mirror, and he's got a knife, and he's just scraping his head off.
No way.
And you're like, homie's on something.
Like Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah. He's like scalping himself.
He's scalping himself.
To the skull.
And I remember just watching it and being like, dude, what the fuck is going on right now? Like the mental health thing, like him and I went to do Ed Manifesto's podcast and TJ, and we went to go stop by our Bobby Tribal's headquarters in San Diego, and I missed an exit. And so I was like, oh, I'll get the next exit. When I got that next exit, how many people were shooting up in broad daylight?
It's like 40 people just on the street right
Like,
there next to
no
like a little
way.
It was a homeless help center on the corner, right, where they had like showers and racks of clothes, and like you sign up, you get a lunch, you can take a shower, get some clothes or whatever. But like down the street, it was all lined up with homeless. They were wheeling and dealing, smoking dope, like smoking off foil, like just all of it right there.
At 1 PM, just right there, no hiding it, no nothing. And then there's people doing that, and there's the people walking around, and like, dude, what is going on? And you have the school shootings.
Oh yeah.
Right? You have people running their vehicles into parades. You have all this stuff, and I think for a long time mental health was ignored, and it was given a pill, or it was given the bottle. Before the pills, it was the bottle. You drink, and then now we're here. We gotta do something.
It's hard to watch the news now, right? I mean, obviously the news has always been, let's report the bad stuff. I mean, that's how they get their views. That's how they get, their paid advertisements and all that stuff. But you're 100% right. There was a video I saw recently. Dude, I straight up thought I was watching Grand Theft Auto. And it was a video, I think, taking place in New York, where these two cars, they're side by side.
And like the robbery, right?
Yeah. Dude, so they start crashing next to each other, and you're like, okay, one of these guys needs to stop, or do they not have insurance and they want to keep going? Then like they T-bone and you think it's done. Nope, dude, the car just loops around and does a U-turn and he's chasing them. And then ends on another T-bone. And then you realize that one of the cars was being hijacked and there was a backpack in it. I think I read later that there was 20 grand. Yeah.
So he T-boned his Mercedes into a RAV4 for 20 grand.
Unreal.
I don't know if the amount of damage he did to his Mercedes was worth 20 grand. Like,
It's the golden age of crime. And when I had dinner with the LA sheriff at this election dinner thing, that's what I told him. I gave him a little spiel of my intro, and then I told him I used to sell guns and drugs, and based off my experience, I would call this the golden age of crime because of the political climate, and they're making these laws or rules, whatever, that are benefiting the criminals. So you have all this criminal activity, plus the mental health crisis call it a crisis for this country.
It's like Gotham City, Sure. I mean, where the hell is Batman?
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, get over here, dude. Get down here, bro.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Get your skateboard and your bat suit and get the hell over here. I agree. I think, there's just so much mayhem. And then social media, I think, is the devil. I use it, and for a business, it's incredible. I mean, it's been an incredible blessing for us. Honestly, I mean, like you said, you see us everywhere because of social media. Yeah. So as a business, I don't know if we could have really survived too much without social media. So in that case, it's done wonders. But I think for this upcoming generation, these kids that have Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok, and they're constantly comparing themselves. And you have kids, right? What are their ages? 10, 7, and 3.
Okay, I got a 10, 8, and 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, right in line. Exactly.
Do they all have phones?
No, none of them. None of them have phones.
Same. When do you think you're gonna give them a phone?
Honestly, I want to wait as long as possible, and I do not want to give them social media. My thought is this. I've already planned this out. I think it's actually pretty cool. I thought this would be a happy medium.
Lay it on me, because I need the plan, because I don't have a plan.
So my idea is I've got 3 daughters. So, I mean, 3 girls. Yes, I am nervous about the future. Thank you for asking. But like, I don't want them to have social media, but I can't control that forever, right? Mm-hmm. At one point, they're going to have to get it. But my only idea so far to prolong that is, instead of giving them their own social media, I think whenever it is, whether they're 14, 16, whatever, is give them access where they could help me with the OC Ramps social media. Because then it's like, okay, hey, that's a lot of power behind your hands. Mm-hmm. We have a decent following on our platforms. Why not teach you how to use social media for the right reasons, and building the business and that type of thing, instead of doing these selfies at the beach or by the pool and that type of thing. So I don't know. I think that because that'd be kind of cool, right? Like if you're at school and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm helping run my dad's, business social media. Yeah. I hope they think that's cool. Maybe not.
They will think it's that cool, but the problem is that
you're like, bad idea.
The problem is that the friends, because like my daughter doesn't take selfies and all that, but I notice when she's with around certain people, it's picture, it's a video, and I'm like, remember when I first started seeing him, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? That's not my daughter. My daughter on a day-to-day doesn't do that. But you can't control how the other parents parent, so they're going to have that influence, you know, that peer pressure. And fuck. I mean, I have 2 daughters, so I'm right there with you. You know, yes, I'm worried about the fucking future as well.
You get it, dude. We'll create like a focus group to help each other out.
Yeah. My son wants a phone. He, you know, all his friends have phones, or most of them. And the thing I come to realize is I feel like we grew up in the best time. We were kids.
Agreed.
The internet came in as we were getting older, and then now we have the internet. We're not too old, and we're like, I can't see the screen, or what is the internet? But now our kids, like, that is their world. Technology is a big. That's all they know. My 3-year-old. So while I'm in jiu-jitsu class, so jiu-jitsu this morning was 2 hours. She's playing zombie games. She's on Disney Plus. Then she got bored and went to Hulu. And I don't have to do any of that. She knows where to go.
Oh, they're geniuses.
You know, so to deny them a phone forever, if it were up to me, I would hold off on the phones, on the puberty, on everything. Give me like 30 years. Okay, let me think about it. Let me figure this out. I didn't know it was around the corner, like literally around the corner.
It is scary, dude. You said your oldest is 10 as well, right? Yeah. So weird. So are your kids in, so then the 10-year-old will be going to middle school next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Super weird.
Because junior high was 7th and 8th. Here it's 6th, 7th.
7th, and 8th, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, it's wild, but I don't know. I really want to convey, you know, I think my mantra is like, it really doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. But how to convey that to my kids to understand is a completely different story. I mean, that's going to be an interesting dialogue. But yeah, I think the phones could be dangerous. But I agree with you 100% that our era of growing up was honestly one of the best times, because I was, I believe, a senior when I got a cell phone, and I was one of the only kids that had a cell phone, but it was because I was working. And so I kind of needed one. I wasn't at home, because obviously you guys remember when like your friends would call your house and be like, can Angel come out and play this afternoon? You know?
Yeah.
So I got a cell phone just because I was gone from the house. And so, you know, straight from school, I'd be going to work. And so I got this cell phone, but it was great growing up not having a cell phone, planning things in advance and stuff. It was funny. I was at a concert recently, and I thought, like, remember the days when you would go to an event and there was no cell phone, and if you got lost or separated from your group, how you would handle that? Yeah. Like, now you obviously call your friend, hey, where are you? You know, meet me at this, you know, spot, this monument at the concert or whatever. But it's like, back then, I think actually I was watching the Woodstock documentary that's on Netflix. Yeah. And that time there was no cell phones. Oh. So can you imagine, what was it, like 100,000+ people there? You get separated from your buddies, and especially if you're shit-faced. How do you find them?
And the stages were like a mile or so apart too, so
you're making new friends.
That's a trek.
You are. So pros and cons to every side, right? But yeah, certainly interesting times. But I think with my kids, what's super funny too is they trip out on commercials. And again, we're not that old, but dude, we grew up with VHS. Yeah. And you know, rarely, I don't think my parents ever bought like a DVD player or anything. Like, we were always VHS. And, you know, the gritty, you know, pixel resolution. Yeah. And now our kids are like, if it's not 4K, they're like, Daddy, why is this all like blurry? And you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 1080p.
What is it? Netflix doesn't have commercials. It's Hulu. Hulu has commercials, and we were watching something like, hey, family time. Okay, let's watch a movie and the movie was playing, and then it was like or a show. It was a commercial, and they're like, hey, why'd you change it? We're like, it's a commercial. They're like, a what? And I was like, oh my God. Well, before Netflix, you would have to watch TV, and then they would put advertisements of a cool toy or a Happy Meal or something, and then the show would go back on. And then my daughter looked at me like that was a dumb idea.
Yeah. You're an idiot.
Yeah,
Dad.
you just press play.
Or like, if you guys remember, if there was a TV show that you'd like, and like, did you guys ever record any of those shows where you'd hit record as soon as like Family Matters would start, and then like when the commercial would pop on, you'd hit stop and stuff? I mean, that it was just funny times, and CDs and everything. I used to have in my truck, because I'm a music fiend. I love music. The booklet.
The double wide.
Bro.
Dude, that's how I know you were balling. If I got in your car and I was
would you have robbed me,
yeah.
Angel?
Back then, probably. Nah, I'm just kidding. I didn't even have a CD player, so what would I do with that?
Dude, those were the best. But yeah, I had one of those, like, yeah, the doubles. And like, I had music ADD, where it's like, you know, now you have your iPhone, right? You could create a playlist where you listen to one song from this album, jump over. But back then it's like you put in a CD and then like pop in another CD, play one song, and then they get all scratched and everything. But man, Spotify is I think, godsend. I love that app and be able to use it. But I did see Iron Maiden last night, which was epic.
How was that?
Oh my gosh, they're on my bucket list. It's really funny. So I grew up listening to metal, and I love all genres of music. I'll listen to anything, but I feel like metal has always been, you know, the core, the passion. Yeah. And so Maiden has always been a huge influence of my music, but I've never had the chance to see them. And so, yeah, they came into town this week. They're playing tonight again. So it was last night, and tonight. And so my buddy, my friend and drummer of the metal band I'm in, Daniel, he shot me a text. He's like, bro, I got another ticket to Maiden on Wednesday. Are you down? I'm like, 100%. I'll cancel whatever. Yeah. So we went, and the Honda Center is great because it doesn't fit that many people, right? So it's not like some of those venues. What are they called? I've been to some in LA where you're so far away from the screen that there's a delay. Yeah. You're like, dude, this is not worth it.
It's terrible. Yeah. Awful. I saw Cypress Hill that way, and I'm like, this is lame. I'm so far back. Yeah.
So I like Honda Pond, but no, they put on an incredible performance. But what was actually quite impressive is, dude, their stage presence was unreal. The theatrical show. Yeah. And I didn't expect that. So they changed their set probably the backdrop, like every song or every two songs. And so it first started off like these Japanese temples. Mm-hmm. And, a couple of the songs that they're playing kind of have that weird twangy influence. Yeah. So you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then the lights go off for like, dude, 30 seconds. I don't know if they hired the Disneyland prop dressers or what. So the lights go out, and then next thing they're playing another song and a whole new stage.
Nice.
Really cool. But the backdrop was phenomenal. Honestly, it was such good technology. I think people might laugh, but I couldn't tell. They had this like Eddie, a skull of Eddie in the backdrop. I actually couldn't tell if it was kind of like that 3D modeling or if it was the real thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I was too far back. But and then musically they're perfect. You know, they've got 3 guitar players and they all rotate between their solos, but they're so technical and they're perfectionists. And yeah, Bruce Dickinson, was awesome. Everyone was great. So it was a really it was a fun night. It was a cool experience.
Did your whole band go?
Yeah, it did. Because right now the whole band is me and drummer Daniel. So yeah, we all were there present. Yeah, we need to add to the band. So we're trying to look out for a singer. Dude, I just wish I could play, and I wish I could play rhythm and sing. It is hard as hell. And it's one thing to play like Tom Petty and sing, because Tom Petty plays 3 chords in every song, and the chorus included. oftentimes it's the same 3 chords for the verse and chorus. So that's different when you're playing like thrash metal. It is so hard to focus on your strumming and be able to carry a pitch. And so these guys like, you know, Tom Araya, you know, the singer of Slayer, and James Hetfield of Metallica, I don't know how those guys do it. It's tricky.
That's double duty right there. Yeah. And to be as big as they were.
Yeah. And James could carry a pitch. Like, that dude's a good singer. And, you know, there's a lot of metal bands that are just yelling in the mic and, you know, Cannibal Corpse style. Yeah. But, like, James could actually carry a pitch, carry a tune. And, you know, meanwhile, he's playing the rhythm at, you know, fast pace, tempo changes. I mean, dude, it is more than just walking and chewing gum, you know? Yeah. So, but yeah, so Daniel and I have a good time. Daniel's a great guy. In fact, his uncle is James Hetfield, of Metallica and stuff. So yeah, they're, nice, great dude. Daniel and I were able to follow them around a couple years ago around Texas, and had an absolute blast. Avenged Sevenfold was an opening for them each night.
Yeah, local. Yeah.
But no, it was cool. James, you know, they're really nice, humble guys. And he's a fascinating character. He loves to hunt. He'll go on those crazy hunting trips and things like that. And but anyway, so yeah, my hat goes off to these guys for sure. So, but we'll play, generally Daniel and I will play during skate nights. Yeah. And that's always super fun. Have you been? Play. Have you?
Yeah, and I remember thinking like, the dude's a businessman, he plays, what the fuck does he not do?
Right? I don't sing. Don't sing.
Do you ever just go back there and be like, you know what, let me just skate?
Yeah. I did that the other night, skated a bit, and I generally will skate the mini ramps. Mm-hmm. The 4-foot that we have back there, the 4-foot tall mini ramp is my favorite. But honestly, I haven't been able to skate up until just recently. I kind of got back into it a little bit. The day of quarantine, I had a ridiculous, just severe surfing accident, and I ripped everything in the right knee. Oh. And so I was, pretty much off my feet for many, many months. It was not a fun time. And then physical therapy for a long time thereafter. So now I'm just, it's almost like PTSD with injuries is like a real thing.
Yes.
You know, because like now when I skate, it's like flashbacks of when everything in my knee popped. And I'm like, dude, I do not want to go through hell again.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I felt. Like I broke my foot in my last Muay Thai fight, and I'm like, you know what? I think I don't know. I was like, I'm not sure if I want to go back to Muay Thai, but because the recovery was so long, and then I gained so much weight, and I had okay, day one, the doctor said I can go run again, go train. And I remember thinking, I just want to run 1 mile today. I think I ran maybe 100 feet and then gave up. Because like I felt like my foot's still broken. No, it's still broken. And then, but it wasn't. It was these phantom pains, right? And then my first day back, I remember I was scared to kick. Because I'm like, I'm going to break it. But eventually it's like, no, fuck it. I'm not. I mean, I still train. But there was that fear for a long time. Like, fuck, dude, don't do it anymore. Just stop. Because you're gonna get hurt. But I'm like, what is the alternative? I just stop doing what I love.
Are you 100% now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, I train.
Full mobility, strength, the whole bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Try train and compete. Well, I don't compete in Muay Thai anymore. Now I just do jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get hurt, but I like to justify it in my head. Oh no, this is a lot better. I won't get hurt. No, dudes get hurt all the time in jiu-jitsu. They get.
Oh yeah.
Those are nasty. That break, oh man, she's a female local star. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened. Like,
she was just in like a transition or doing something.
Yeah.
And
they ended up going towards off bounds, right? Off the actual mat where they're supposed to be competing. And she tore everything in her knee. Everything.
Busted her tibia or her whole right leg or left leg's trashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can still get hurt.
How long ago was this?
It was last night.
The weekend, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, or over the weekend, I mean.
Dang. Yeah, I've got some advice for her. Yeah, I destroyed everything in the knee. I knew nothing about the knee other than it bends one direction prior to my injury. And then now I feel like I could be a knee doctor.
How did you recover? Did you do stem cells?
I didn't. Well, yes and no. So I did that during the surgeries.
Okay.
So they injected them to a certain extent. But there's all sorts of levels, different variations of stem cell therapy. So to that account, I did. But yeah. So I ripped all 4 ligaments. Only one stayed intact. So the MCL, the ACL, and the PCL were obliterated. Off the bone, just chicken off the bone, donezo.
In the water.
In the water. And the LCL, which is on your outer side of the knee, was damaged, and that one was the only one intact. But it was pretty messed up.
So what happened? Where were you?
I was at the Wedge in Newport Beach. Yeah, the infamous spot. And oh man, so the day of quarantine, so it was like middle of March 2020, and there was a good sized swell that was coming through. So I'm like, dude, we got a good south swell. There's good waves at Wedge. I'm gonna go check it out. And so I took a couple workers to OC Ramps. I dropped them off. It was like 6:30. And I'm like, guys, I'm going to go to Wedge. I'll be back in about an hour and a half. So I'll be back around like 8 a.m., maybe 8:30, worst case scenario. So get started without me. Boom. So I head over, and it was a decent day. It wasn't massive, but it was probably like 12-foot faces,
wow.
12-foot peaks. And but I've been comfortable with that. I respect that beach a lot. I've been going there since I was a little kid. And I've never had any injury or anything remotely scary happen, even though, I've been out there when, you have 20-foot face, those little A-frame peaks there at that point. And so anyways, it's the last wave of the day. I'm at Cylinders. Cylinders is about like 100 feet north of Wedge. And what makes Cylinders a lot more sketchy than Wedge is the barrel there is a lot more hollow, and then it breaks in like 2 to 3 feet shallow water. Wedge is a little bit deceiving. Wedge looks like it's breaking on the sand, but Wedge is actually pretty deep because that wave, for whatever reason, it just carves out, the sand underneath. So even on a big day at Wedge, someone, goes over the falls or whatever, that water is fairly deep. Cylinders is a different story. That sand stays there. And so, I went right on Cylinders because everybody was at Wedge. It was just getting too crowded. So I'm like, I just want one last good barrel. Pulling right. It closes out on me. And then I don't even know how this happened because it's kind of rare, but it somehow sucked me up over the falls, after it closed out. So it sucks me out. I go over the falls and I go feet first, almost like just a torpedo, just with all the weight and pressure and inertia of the wave behind me. And I go feet first, and there's 2 feet of water, and my leg just buckled, went the wrong way. I heard a pop that sounded like not a balloon, but like a basketball. Yeah. It just exploded. And I thought I dislocated my knee. Again, I knew nothing about the knee because I couldn't move it after. So, I scream like my 7-year-old girl, underwater. Yeah. And then I rise up, and then, I tried to kick, and I couldn't move it. And that was really scary because I was like, wait, did something get pinched in my disc? Am I paralyzed? I don't know. But my left leg is good, so I struggle to get into shore. Fortunately, you're not far out. You're only like, 10 feet recessed in the water. So I get up, left-footed and come back. And fortunately, there was like an off-duty lifeguard there. But he was asking all the wrong questions. He's like, bro, what day is it? And I'm like, buddy, I know you're testing for a concussion. Wrong body part. I hit my foot. And he's like, sir, answer me. What day is it?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's Thursday. Who's the president? I'm like, buddy, I know you're trying to like, you're doing your training, but it's not my head. It's my foot. It's my leg. And he's like, just answer the question. And I'm like, dude, you're of no use. But anyway, so I hopped left-footed across the beach, and then my first phone call was actually to one of our skateboarders. In fact, it was that Christian kid that I met years ago at that insurance commercial. Uh-huh. No one's ruined their knee more than him. So I hit him up. I mean, skateboarders inherently just have, bad knees.
Yeah.
So I call him up. I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, you do nothing except get an MRI. You don't talk to a doctor until you get an MRI. Just get that MRI. Don't go to the ER. Don't do anything. And so, that's what I did and found out what had been popped. So it was such a frustrating time because, again, quarantine, I go to these doctors and they're like, hey, unless this is life-threatening, we can't operate on you.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what do you mean? This isn't electoral. Like, dude, my knee is mangled. So one doctor down at Scripps in San Diego, he put my leg on the table and he grabbed my leg and swung it this way, the wrong way, 35 degrees. And it was just like a swinging saloon door.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, don't do that. I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
So I started calling everybody under the sun. I reached out to Bucky Lassick's knee doctor, and he's like, unless this is heart surgery, I can't do it, and it's like, bro, where do I go?
Yeah.
I was scared I was going to be maimed, for life. So I called the one guy that knows everybody, and that was the homeowner of that bowl ramp in Pasadena of Albert Einstein's house. Mm-hmm. So I hit up Damien, and I'm like, bro, I know you could help find me a doctor. What do I do? And he's like, I'm honored you called me. I'm on it. So he calls me back and like the next day, and he's like, dude, so this is, a couple of days into quarantine. Everyone's shut down.
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey, I found this doctor, the knee doctor for the NFL Jaguars in Jacksonville, Florida. Saying his name's, Dr. Kevin something, you could fly over there. I'm like, dude, I don't care what I need to do. I'm going to fly over there.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I have an appointment, a Zoom conference with this random doctor that I scheduled from Google out in Santa Monica, Dr. Bert Mendelbaum. So I Zoomed Dr. Mendelbaum. And like, meanwhile, I'm literally opening another tab to like book a flight to Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah. So I'm talking to this doctor via Zoom in Santa Monica, and he's like, hey, you need surgery yesterday. It's a 2-part surgery, yada, yada, let's get you in. And he was able to get me in. So I was like, doc, before we end the call, like, what are your credentials? I just found you on Google. And he just laughed, and he's like, buddy, just keep searching on Google. Like, I'll smirk. And so I'm like, okay, that's confidence, like, on the verge of arrogant. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we hang up the call, and then, I looked more in Google, and turned out that this Dr. Mendelbaum is the primary physician for FIFA soccer and the Olympic soccer teams.
Yeah.
Does all their knees, the U.S. Olympic gymnasts, even UFC guys. So I was like, okay. This dude is like, literally, he was the world ACL specialist. And so that's who operated on me. So when I met him, it was kind of just full circle. I meet with him, and he's like, I tell him the story. I'm like, I was about to book a flight to Jacksonville. And he's like, oh yeah, Dr. Kevin. He's like, he studied under me. He did his residency under me and everything. So I'm like, all right, here we are. So and after that, I was just full on therapy, physical therapy, and trying to get everything up to par. But I'm almost 100%. I'm 100% on strength. The flexibility is like 90%. I can't bend the knee back all the way, and I don't think, unfortunately, it will ever go there. But hey, I'm healed, and now I'm able to skate, and do those things I love again.
So you used to go surf, right?
So I started surfing again. So that incident was 2.5 years ago, right? I didn't surf until the 2-year mark. So earlier this spring is when I started surfing, and then for the first time, So I've been longboarding, trying to keep it mellow. But I did want to, kind of face the dragon again. So in May, I went back to Wedge, the one and only time that I went back. And I went out there and it wasn't its biggest day. It was probably like 8-foot faces. But again, it scared the piss out of me, just because I'm like, should I drop in again? Do I want to do this? What if I get sucked over and rip the other leg? All those stupid thoughts, they're a little bit ridiculous. But I was able to do it, got a couple barrels, and
Nice.
It was fun.
I went to the Wedge on a big day once. My friend's like, don't worry, man. Do you know Mark from Bonsai Bowls?
I don't.
Oh, but have you ever ate at Bonsai Bowls, the acai place? They got a couple locations, Laguna Beach, Costa Mesa.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
He's a really good surfer. And I went with him, and I saw what was happening, and I was like, yeah, I have no business there. I'm going to go a little bit further to the right and then go in, and I'm just going to chill there. I need my spot. And then how people start right by the rocks.
Yeah, the jetty there.
Yeah, I'm just like, bro, what? Like, that is crazy. And no, man, I'm more of, and I still go in front of a frog house. That's about it.
Oh, yeah. Like that's like 52nd Street, 56 area.
Yeah.
Now that's a good spot actually. The river jetties in Huntington.
That, Bozo Chica or Huntington Beach. I saw 2 years ago, there was a great white in the closed beach for a while.
Yeah.
I saw it.
No way.
In person.
No shit.
What street was it?
By the Huntington Beach Pier.
By the pier. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my friend Eric is the one who actually taught me how to start surfing, how to surf, right, in 2019, and then I dove into it, and we would surf multiple times a day, and he was into it, I was into it, and then he got his. We were going to school to become a registered dietitian. He was a year ahead of me, so then he passed everything, and he got his first job at the VA in Wisconsin, where he's from. So then he's like, I'm going back to Wisconsin. I'm like, dude, you're like my surfing buddy, my working out buddy. At the time, he was like one of my closest friends. I'm like, damn. So I'm like, man, I don't like going by myself. So he left, and I tried to get my brother into it, but he was kind of flaky. He's like, yeah, dude, I'll be there. And then I'll call him, and I'll be like, he's like, no, I'm just going to sleep in, dude. And I'm like, fuck, I need a friend to. I'm like, I can't stop surfing. So I go, and I'm paddling, and then there's and then I see something, and I knew it wasn't a fucking dolphin, because at that point I seen multiple dolphins, and at one point I actually caught a wave with the dolphin. If that was the coolest I ever felt in my life.
That's rad.
And I fucking see it, and because as you can tell, I have glasses. I didn't have my glasses in the water. There's a surfer ahead of me. He's looking at me. I look at him. We look, and then I just see him paddle in there. And I'm like, oh, well, then if he's paddling in, not towards the water. And I'm like, well, then it wasn't a shark or anything. But I was like, I don't know. So then the next day, my brother's like, yeah, man, I'll go surf with you. Same place. And as we're in the water, they get on the mic, on the loudspeaker. They're like, get out. There's a shark. And as I get out, I'm like, dude, yesterday, what I fucking saw, that big ass thing that I've never seen move so fast in the water, that was it. And then the next day, they closed the beach. They put the signs everywhere, and I think they said it was like a 10-footer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Right.
How close it was. It was me, and the big fridges over there were it. I was like, I just thought in my head, I was like, it's a big dolphin.
That's crazy. But you grew up there, Ryan, right?
In Huntington.
Yeah,
I never surfed or anything, though.
But like, didn't you ever go to the pier? Here's the thing that's kind of nuts is evidently, I guess there's a lot of great white sightings, and people will fish them, and they'll bring them in. They're just not the big ones. They're like the baby great whites. So clearly, if there's baby great whites, they're coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, it's interesting. We haven't had like too many sightings of those up until then. Honestly, growing up there, I've never heard of any sighting apart from, just the ones fishing at the pier. So that's crazy. How long ago was that?
Man, they closed the beach. They was like 2 years ago. 3 years ago.
So before COVID?
No, 2 years ago. after COVID, like
after
the initial like, oh shit, the world's gonna end.
Yeah.
And you know what we did? We were like, well, let's just get in the car and go up to Bolsa Chica. It won't go there.
You guys are geniuses. That's a true surfer mentality. That is too fun.
I want to go back in there since I know I'm going to be out for a while, because I love it.
Yeah.
It's jiu-jitsu and surfing are the only two things where when I'm doing it, I don't think about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it really feels like a therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also like working out, chilling with the buddy and stuff like that.
I agree. I don't know jiu-jitsu. I wish I did, but nope, I don't. And but surfing, I could attest to that. Yeah, just being in the ocean, especially like sunset. Oh man, I love like surfing in the sunset or sunrise, either one. I mean, that is one of the greatest blessings of growing up where we did, you know, in Huntington, is even in middle school, we had surf class where, yeah, you're going to the beach at 6:30 in the morning. In high school for PE, I had surf class.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
Bro, that might be one of the most Huntington Beach thing I've ever heard.
Right. No, when people from the Midwest hear that, they're like, "Oh my gosh, dude, you got to surf for school credit. That's ridiculous."
Damn.
But yeah, no, that was super fun. And if the waves were really flat, because there were a lot of times that we'd show up and there was zero swell, and you know, we're not going to go out when it's literally 1 foot waves. And so we would just have to run like a mile or two, and then they would count it as our attendance type of thing and stuff. But yeah, I think Bolsa Chica is super fun. Do you shortboard or longboard?
I have a 6'6".
Okay, yeah. Have you ever longboarded before?
No, it looks fun, maybe.
Dude, it is so fun. So I love them all. I love to. I grew up bodyboarding, so that's what I would do at Wedge, shore break, bodyboard. I like to shortboard, but there's something weird about longboarding, and it's just got a super mellow, different vibe to it, And so I like it because it's mellow, easy to paddle, that type of thing. You could pretty much take a lot of waves that the shortboards can't, type of thing, because you could start, from further back. But so I live down in South County now. The beach that's closest to me is like Salt Creek, Dana Point area. So I like Salt Creek. What's great about that spot is it's in a cove, and so you're kind of protected by the wind. That's a one downfall to like Huntington and Newport. Or like you mentioned 56th Street, which is another great spot, is, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the winds pick up like crazy and you get like white caps and that type of thing. But what's cool with the coves in Laguna and Dana Point and that type of thing is it kind of blocks off the wind. So it could still be glassy throughout the afternoon. Yeah. So I don't know. But so do you surf as much as you skate or?
Right now I skate more, and I wish I could. The last time I went surfing, my uncle, who's in 7th Special Forces Group, is stationed in Florida, and he wanted to get into surfing. He's like, "Dude, I'm back in town. Let's surf." So we did that. He has a bunch of buddies that do surf, and I think we went 3 days in a row out of the 7 days he was here or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, "Man, I got it. I missed this so much." And then since my surfing buddies left, well, him being my uncle, I'm like, I don't want to go by myself. So I just skate with Benji.
So so twofold question. Where would your number one surf trip be? And where would your number one skate trip be?
Oh man, well, surf, because I haven't been anywhere else. I would say
you're like anywhere outside Orange County.
Yeah, I went to Sacramento one time, and that was nice.
Oh, that's right.
Or what is it, Redondo Beach?
Redondo,
I went to Redondo Beach, so I basically went to my friend Eric started showing me how to surf at Bolsa Chica, and then he left. So Mark, who's a really good surfer, he's like, "Oh yeah, come to Newport. It's the same." No, it's not. And I got my ass handed to me at Newport for a long time until I finally figured it out. And then one day I went to Redondo Beach and I was like, "What the fuck? You guys are spoiled. This is what you guys get all the time." And he's like, today's like a bad day. I'm like, bro, this is a great day. You spoiled ass. So Redondo Beach is pretty good, but skating, I want to go, man. I wish I can go to, because all the skate videos, like the ES videos, where they went to each, like Eric Costin went to, wherever, because is it Thailand? No. Wherever he's from, it seemed like that ES, what is that ES skate video? The old one starts with that. It's not Imanica or.
Oh yeah. No. Dude, I should know because we created I freaking print up the sticker all the time. Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. We created actually a signature box with S.
Yeah, that's my first skate video I ever owned.
Dude, that's a great one. Why am I? But yeah, I know.
So
what you're talking about.
it seemed like each one went to their like home country where they were at, or maybe where their family was from.
Yeah.
I would like to go to Mexico and do just skate some spots over there.
Dude, Mexico would be fun to like skate and surf. We used to go to like Rosarito and TJ and go surf. And man, and then you get out, you get, tacos for 50 cents and go back out. I mean, the greatest times ever. I did a trip a long time ago to Hawaii on the North Shore of Oahu. I've never experienced anything like it. There's a place called Log Cabins, and it's just south, a couple 100 yards south of like Pipeline and Backdoor. And I went there early with one of my friends. We knew there was going to be a great swell. We were like, dude, we got to get there like 30 minutes before the sun even comes up because this place is going to be popping. And we went out there, and we were in the dark, just waiting in the water.
Yeah.
And it's bathtub temperature water, you know, even at 5 a.m, which is incredible. And anyways, the sun's rising, and the two of us are just getting in and out after in and out.
Wow.
Like in Orange County, to pull into a barrel and get like spit out is maybe once in a lifetime. Whereas Hawaii, it's like once every couple minutes,
Yeah.
It's just a different experience. But, it sounds silly. The one skate park I haven't been to that I've been to, I just haven't skated, I haven't had the chance, is actually Venice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I would have
It's
loved.
so packed.
I know.
It's the
Those
one time,
bowls just look so fun.
and not to mention everybody that's there is either an actual pro or on their way to being a pro. So the 3 times I have taken my board there, I've looked at who's just ripping it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get in your way, man.
Right.
I'm just gonna observe you. You're doing 360s, 540s, jumping. You see where they jump off the tree or whatever.
Yeah. Land in the flats. And
And I'm
everything,
like, I know. I'm gonna stick to my lane right here. The concrete side outside the park. That's what I'm gonna skate.
Well, that's probably why I haven't skated it, right? Like, I mean, we obviously know people. In fact, we even sponsor a few guys that go there on the daily. But it just looks fun. Like, those little bowls and the ability to pump through there is fun. I do love Etnies right here. That one's super fun just because of the variety. They have a mix of everything. But my favorite skate park of all time is definitely OC Ramps. I mean, that warehouse is so cool.
It is, and it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
And the last time we were there, I wish I could have stayed for that last event.
Yes.
But my friend.
Yeah, the retreat a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. But man.
Did you? So we have a big event. We're joining up with TNR again and Benji and the crew. In fact, I think Mike and you guys might even set up a booth and whatnot as well with DSG. But for Ramptober, that's our huge yearly Halloween party.
What day?
It's on October 15th. It's a Saturday.
Oh shit! Yeah. I think Benji asked me if my dad was. I think so.
Yeah. Dude, because everyone loved your dad's food. That was unbelievable.
We've been telling him for years, like, dude, start your own business, start a truck, start something. And at the time, well, he was a baker for the longest time,
Okay.
And then the recession fucking took a shit in 2008. I mean, the economy took a shit. And he's like, well, I'm not getting paid that much money to bake bread. And he got into installing security cameras and stuff like that. And during 2008, not everyone had security cameras, right? Nowadays, everyone's got a door camera, right? A little ring.
Yeah, the ring
thing.
or whatever. Yeah.
So he started doing that, but we're like, dude, he cooks everything. Like anything you can think of, he'll cook, like Mexican, Mexican food wise. And I told him, like, bro, you live in this like super IG looking apartment complex in Anaheim. It's like everyone that's at the pool who's taking pictures, they all look like IG models, and he's paying top dollar. And I'm like, bro, come live with me, save your money, start your business. So that's what he did. He was paying more rent than the 3-bedroom apartment that I have in Fountain Valley, and he came to live with me for a couple months, saved that money, started his business there, and now he's killing it.
Good for him.
So
he deserves it.
Yeah,
he deserves it. No, that food, honestly, like no joke, that was the real deal. When Benji, so when originally we were doing that collab event last month, the end of Summer Bash, I was like, do you know anyone that does, good food? Obviously, we've got a couple, friends in the food industry that we like to use. Our buddies, like Ryan at Grinders, being one of them. And I'm like, hey, let's try and change it up. And so he's like, dude, I got this taco guy. And man, the carne asada was unbelievable. Even the simple cheese quesadilla that my kids got was like the best cheese quesadilla. Like the flour tortilla was just unbelievable. So no, we definitely want him back. So yeah, that's going on October 15th. But what's cool is that I don't think you've seen yet. You might have visually seen in the backdrop, but we're going to be setting up our 20-foot life-size guitar that's skatable.
Yeah.
That we built for ESP a number of years ago. So we're going to set that up. And then we bring in generally this professional painter that will design all the ramps. He'll paint on them to kind of give the Halloween theme. So he'll paint it like a cemetery and do really cool art on it. And then for the mini ramps, what we want to do is actually create, I don't know about you guys, but growing up, we actually used to call on a mini ramp. Now we call them an extension, but back then it used to be called a tombstone, back in the 90s. And so we actually want on our CNC machine, we're going to cut out like the shape of like a tombstone, the headstone.
Oh, nice.
We're going to paint it like all the theme. And then we're going to put that like, up against the ramp. I don't know if you saw, but we did that with a pallet recently where they were skating the pallet and doing some wild things. But anyway, so it's going to be a really cool event. So yeah, hopefully you guys will be able to come through. But I think doing the collab with Benji has been awesome. I mean, we love the brand, TNR and everything. Has he officially released the name?
Not yet. Not yet.
So
far, right now it's just, what is it? Thrash and Redacted for now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I told him, dude, you can be named whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not the name that they're following, it's you and all the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
You could be called, I think I told him like Hugs and Kisses.
Hugs
and he's
and
like,
Kisses.
we're Hugs and Kisses now.
No, it was Silly Goose.
Yeah, Silly Goose. There's Silly Goose.
Silly Goose.
Available.
It's available.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I listened to the podcast and trademarked it right away.
When I first got out, not right away, but like a year and a half of me getting out, I applied to OC Ramps. I was like, let me see if I can.
No way.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
Oh man, pandemic time maybe. I don't know. Well, when I first got out, no.
We should have hired you.
19. No, I'm glad you didn't.
Jerk.
Because I don't know shit. I thought it'd be cool to work there to skate, but then
you just wanted to come and play.
Yeah, I just wanted to come and play. I don't know shit about. I don't know anything.
We could teach you.
I wish
we could teach you. What was our response? Did I respond? Did another assistant respond? Or was it just like radio silence?
I think it might have been radio silence.
Really?
But to be honest, I didn't think it through, because if you would have asked me, okay, well, build me a ramp, I'd be like, dude, I don't know anything. I just want to go and play.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I did, but you know what I did though? I was like, well, I can't go in there and play. And then I was like, so I bought a mini ramp. So this is before I met Benji.
Wow, epic.
And I bought the mini ramp, and then I met Benji, and we've hosted our first event together out of my garage on an OC Ramps.
No way.
Yeah.
So, okay, that now this is making sense, because I remember seeing photos and being tagged on some event, and I'm like, dude, I don't remember anyone from that event, like in particular, purchasing the ramp. So it makes sense that you bought it before and then used it. Okay, so that's all clear. So you guys met at that event? Is that what happened?
No, so I met him because one of my friends was killed in Afghanistan, and I went to a charity event because his close friend, Rod's close friend, so Rod's the individual who got killed, his close friend messaged me. He's like, hey, I can't be at this charity event. Ronnie, the wife, is going to be there. I want somebody there to support her because she doesn't know anybody at this event. And I was like, without even knowing more details, like, yeah, I'll be there. No problem. Don't worry. Yeah, I'll be there. And then he sent me all the info. He's like, yeah, it's in Virginia, Bedford. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't. Okay. So then I flew there. It was a great event. The charity was Hero Games charity. They do great work for the community. They don't just do like, hey, we're gonna honor your husband, friend, whatever who they are, and then okay, later, bye, next. No, they actually care and stay in touch with the whole family and want to build a community, and they have built a community. So after I did the event, he was like, hey man, aren't you from California? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that. And then there was Benji's Flag, Thrasher. He's like, oh, they're one of the sponsors. You should link up with them. And well, at that time, it wasn't really much on my mind. So then I flew back, and I was home for a couple of weeks or a couple of days. And I was like, you know what? Let me send him a thank you. Found him on IG. Like, yo, man, thank you for supporting my friend's event to honor his life, and the family loved the support and stuff like that. My name's Angel Cortez. I am the owner of OG Pumpkin, and we do all these events. And at the time, my biggest one was, I called it Tacos and Vehicles, where I buy vehicles and we shoot from inside the vehicles, around them and stuff like that. I have a taco guy, being my dad, and I have a band that comes and plays.
Can my band play there sometime?
Yeah, yeah.
Ryan here is gonna sing. He said, yeah. We're gonna talk later, and he's gonna sing.
So I told Benji, come out to my event. He's like, let's link up. And then he said, actually, I'm having an event at Prince Park. We're at the toy drive because right now it's around Christmas time. And so I show up with 2 toys, and he showed up with the whole fucking car full of toys and skateboards for the kids. And I'm like, oh, this dude cares about the community. And then I saw how his kids acted around him, and I'm like, oh, well, clearly, he's a loving dad. And so I'm like, dude, that's awesome what you're doing, man. Let me know how I can help you. And that's how the relationship started. We kind of became friends at that moment, right? Or the beginning stages. And then I told him, like, yo, dude, let's do an event together. We'll do for amateurs mini ramp contest cash. And I had, I think, $700. And we said best run on the mini ramp. And that's when I had your guys' ramp. So he came to my house. We had 65 people show up, a bunch of amateurs. And it was only for amateurs, right? So they can have some money. And 65 people showed up. And we had it in my in the alley, actually, because my garage is in the alley. And all my neighbors were like, what the fuck is going on over here? There's like it's like pandemic.
They say that at every event, though, too.
Yeah, at every event.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on here? And yeah, I was like, yeah, dude, fucking OC ramps. I don't even have that ramp anymore because I had it because of the pandemic. And then I met Benji, and so then now I have a friend who skates, so we would go skate, and all the neighborhood kids would always come to my house and be like, hey, is Angel home? And here I am, 32, right? And kids are like, yeah, can Angel come play? And I would tell them, like, hey man, don't even, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not, just ask for the controller, and then you can open my garage, but just make sure to close it. And I was like, after a while, I was like, you know what, man, I don't really skate it anymore. Skate parks are opened up. I skate with TNR and the whole crew, and I went to the main kid's dad, and I was like, hey, you want the mini ramp for your kids? And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, just come and take it. So it's still in the neighborhood, but now the kids own it.
That's cool. That's pretty rad. I think the real story is you gave it to him because you're like, hey, I'm going to work at OC Ramps and I'm going to get my own new ramp. Like, no response. I find it, I'm going to literally, after this, I'm going to search our emails because it is odd that no one would reply. The only reason we wouldn't reply is if it went to spam. Again, that's where the OCD kicks in. Normally we'll reply to anybody, even if there's some bozo, asking for free stuff, whatever. But
because on your website you have that option, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, there is a contact form. Is that what you mean on the website and everything? Yeah. So the only reason why we wouldn't reply, honestly, is if it somehow went to our spam. But at the same time, if you messaged us at the beginning of COVID, dude, it was just bananas.
Yeah, it was during COVID. So
it was nuts. I mean, obviously, I'm laced up, with freaking destroyed leg, and then our phones are just going off like crazy. I mean, that was a huge turning point for the business as well, because every kid is stuck at home in America, not going to school. And then skate parks across America are being filled in by dirt or sand by a bunch of idiots, And so I loved to see when there were some stories of kids that like scooped it out. It's like, screw you, we're gonna skate. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any other group that would have done that. Just skateboarders. So it was a very interesting time. That whole era. I mean, it was just. It was mayhem. We were operational from 6 a.m. until midnight, 6 days a week. And our next step is we were going to have a third shift run. So we were going to be doing 24/7 or 24/6.
Yeah.
It was nutty.
I could imagine.
We couldn't keep up.
At the time, the beaches started filling up.
Yeah.
And I remember, even though I was a newer surfer, but I felt like the people who were just coming in, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you ruined this.
Yeah.
And then
they got crowded.
Yeah, super crowded. And then I could only imagine how many people were like, yo, I want a ramp, because when the wait was pretty long, and I remember thinking like, oh man, they live down the street from me, can I just pick it up?
Dude, that would have been rad. Yeah, no, well, hey, thank you, we appreciate your support and and the purchase and everything. No, it's a wild time, and obviously, I'm biased, but I fully support these parents that would push their kids into skateboarding, because what else is shithead little Timmy gonna do during COVID? Just stay inside and play Xbox, PlayStation, go on TikTok.
Yeah.
So get them a ramp, get them outside, actually using their legs and sweating and developing new skills and talents. So it was really cool to push out a lot of ramps. Obviously, our installation period completely halted, because like today, we go up and the customers wants us to build it. That completely halted because a lot of people were afraid of, just spreading germs and whatever. Yeah. And then the event side of the business died, overnight immediately. There's no events or parties going on for the 2 years. So it's just a very interesting shifts in the dynamic of the whole business, where it's like, okay, events are shut down, installations are shut down, but mail order ramps, man, that's through the roof, and we can't even keep up. So that was nutty. The other thing that kind of shut down before that is we had an interesting contract with Lil Wayne, and these celebrities have a rider list. Yeah. And it's a list of demands, right? And so, if you had this rider list, you could be like, hey, when I'm on set, I want the room chilled at 70 degrees, and I want only cherry Pepsi, chilled at a certain degree, whatever. And so years ago, we did, I got a call, I think it was probably around 2012 when we formed the skate team. And they're like, hey, I'm working with Lil Wayne. We're shooting a music video. Can we borrow a couple skate ramps and for the video and everything? It's with Birdman.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this one's on the house, but moving forward, we typically charge. If you come pick it up, it's on the house. And that hooked him. So like a week later, we get a phone call and they're like, hey, we're it's us again. We're shooting another music video. Could we have, some more ramps? I'm like, all right, well, here's the rate for delivery, for us to come out, the whole bit. They're like, okay, let's do it. So back then we had, I don't know if you've seen, we have we have that 20-foot flatbed trailer that's always at our shop, and we have ramps stacked on it. So that trailer, we actually had a small little mini ramp built on it. It was like 2.5 feet tall. So it was portable. It was rad. Actually, where we built it for the Huntington Beach 4th of July parade, because that parade's huge.
Yeah.
And so that was our float, was this portable mini ramp, and we'd have the skaters on it and stuff like that. So we're like, to Wayne's people, we're like, hey, could we bring this mini ramp? Would that be acceptable? They're like, bring it. So dude, it's Sunday at 10 o'clock. This dude's nocturnal. This dude doesn't start working until midnight. So it's Sunday at 10 o'clock. We're leaving Orange County, heading up to Hollywood, to this studio where they're shooting this music video. And we're on the freeway, probably 10 minutes out of Santa Ana. All of a sudden, dude, we catch a little gust of wind. And all of a sudden I feel a shift in weight in the truck and trailer. And immediately I'm like, this ain't right. I look at my rear view mirror, and in my rear view mirror, I see this mini ramp on the trailer lift up, and it starts sliding off of the trailer. And we're going 50, 60 miles an hour. And we're in the middle lanes. I'm not even in the slow lane like an idiot. There's 3 of us in the car, and we're like, holy shit. I mean, it was that moment in time where everything just slowed down. Exactly. 100%, like how they depict it in the movies and TV shows is how I felt. And no DMT was involved at the time. But, so dude, it was a straight up miracle. The ramp falls off and splits into 3 main pieces, the 2 quarters, the flat section. And they start spinning, and I seriously in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna cause the gnarliest pile up on the 5 freeway right now. We're doomed. I hope no one gets injured. All that is going through your mind. And these pieces spin, and they end up, I don't know how, they end up in completely on the right of the freeway, where the IC plant is and all that stuff, completely out of the way of any lanes. And everyone just cruises as they would. So I really didn't know what to do. We called CHP, and I tell them the story. And I'm like, do I turn around and go get the pieces? Do I put on my hazards? And they're like, sir, just leave it. And I'm like, I don't think that's right advice. And they're like, no, sir, leave it. That's what we're there for. We'll clean it up another time. I'm like, am I going to get a bill later for this?
Yeah.
Is this a fine? And they're like, no, stuff happens. And I'm like, have you ever had anyone lose a half pipe on the freeway? And they're like, no. So anyways, we call Wayne's people, and they're like, they didn't believe us. They thought we were just screwing around.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't care what you do. You go back to Orange County, get some ramps, and you come to this video shoot. So we did. We get there. I'm with Greg Lutzka. He drives up in his Bentley that he had at the time. And so he mobs up. I mean, dude, this whole night could have been just a reality show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. So we pull up there. Wayne comes out, and we're like, whoa, dude, this is cool. We go meet him. Coolest dude, super chill. And yeah, he's shooting another video with Birdman. And we're like, okay, where are we setting this up? And they're like, no, you're setting it up in the parking lot. This is for him to skate. This one's not going in the music video. He just wants you guys here, for him to skate with. So we skated for the night, and I think we set it up right beside Greg's hood of the car. And so he's launching over the car and, oohing and on and stuff. And so it was a really cool event. And so after that, they called us, and they're like, hey, we're making Lil Wayne's rider list. We want you guys a part of it.
That's so dope.
And so they're like, what are the 5 obstacles that we need to have at every shoot? And I'm like, well, I was a little bit confused, because I'm like, wait, what's the purpose of this? And they're like, listen, it's not going to be in every music video. Maybe it'll be, every once in a while we'll slide it in. But they're like, these music videos shoot for 24 to sometimes even 48 hours. And Wayne's on set the whole time. So, sometimes in between set, these guys will just go to their trailer, they'll relax. Wayne doesn't want to do that. He wants to do something fun. So we're basically there to be the entertainment and everything. So we had that contract up until, just before COVID.
Damn.
And so like every music video from 2012 to, just about, I think it was 2018 or 19, we were right behind the camera.
Yo, that's so dope.
Right behind the camera.
I'm gonna tell Mike at DSG, like, yo, dude, I got a rider list.
Exactly.
I need OC ramps when you're instructing.
I'll help you create it, dude.
I need.
We got experience.
I need a mini ramp on the side. All right.
I think you're right. And so I think all you guys should have a rider list, including OC ramps, and we're the stripper entertainment for skateboarding, and so that was super fun, and we got to work with a lot of those guys from Young Money. It was always funny getting, the first check that I got from Young Money Records. I should have framed it, put it on the wall. But a lot of those guys at Young Money were super rad. 2 Chainz was a fun guy.
Awesome.
Drake's a nice dude. Nikki is
for a lot of the beginning people that you mentioned, I'll help assemble.
Right.
I'll be your water
on board.
boy. I'll be whatever it is. You be like, yo, you don't even have to call me Angel. You can Jose, whatever, dude. Let me just show up, man. Let me just show up.
No, it's so funny. When I told a few of our local friends that we were doing, Ben and J-Lo's house, all of a sudden, same thing. Like all these girls are like, I'll be the assistant. You need an assistant. Even my assistant's like, hey, I've never been to a job site, but I need to be at this one. I feel like I need to be there.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Everyone simmer down. But
no, forget them. You need security, dude. Yeah. Come on, I'll be your security.
You know what? You're right on that, actually. You're right on that. Yeah, with the Young Money crew, that would be wise. But no, humble dudes. But I would honestly say of all of them, I like 2 Chainz the most. That guy's, I think he has 2 bachelor's degrees, if I'm not mistaken.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
And he was a basketball.
Yeah.
He went to college on basketball, and
he's a smart dude.
Dude.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
But he's humble, and I really liked him. And then Wayne was the nicest dude as well. Super humble, always down. He loves skateboarding. Super passionate about it.
I need some lean, so that'd be dope. It'd be like, yo, man. You
a
bottle too.
Be careful. I can't get off that stuff now, man. But no. So that was a really fun experience. But like I said, COVID changed it, and it's so funny. There's like a pre-COVID business, and there's a post-COVID, afterlife, type of business, and. But we're glad that the world's opening up, and that we're back to doing these installations and everything. So
it seems like you've, man. I'm glad you came on here. So when you brought it up first, I was like, fuck, really? There's people that I would like to ask, but I'm like, they're not gonna come on. But the fact that you want to, you're here, dude, that's dope. And I liked what you're doing. Obviously, me being barely started to be an entrepreneur, seeing what you created and hearing it, I fucking love it, dude. I love it.
Thank you. I think that obviously I have a special place in my corazón for entrepreneurship, and I think the moral of the story is I'm just a pedestrian. There's nothing unique or extremely special about me. I was able to start a business based on just passion and dedication. I think that really anyone could start a business if they desire. And it's not to say everyone needs to. I mean, honestly, there's some personality types where, hey, a 9-to-5 is perfect, and there's no judgment against working for somebody or having a 9-to-5. Believe me, as an entrepreneur, there's some days where I'm like, dude, having a steady 9-to-5 job sounds so good right now.
Yeah.
And so I really don't have judgment towards either side. But my experience, more so is with being an entrepreneur. And yeah, I have a love and a passion for it. And I think that really anyone could if they set their mind to a particular project, if you eat, drink, and sleep it, and you write out goals, and you execute them, you have a list, and then you can make it happen. But it's not easy. I think the one problem with today's view of entrepreneurship is no thank you to TikTok and Instagram and everything else. Because now I almost feel like social media makes it feel like you're not successful unless you're an entrepreneur. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. There's a lot of business owners that aren't successful, you know, and or that aren't, you know, profitable. And it all obviously depends on your measure of overall success. But I think that, I would encourage anyone, if they're interested to start a business, that being resourceful. Now we have Google, you have so many avenues of learning like a certain talent or a certain skill. And if you focus on a niche like we have, you know how many people laughed at me when I told them that I owned a skate ramp business. I mean, honestly, even now, I'll get people who are like, "Is that a business? Like, are you doing okay?" Like, they're like, if I meet a stranger, some people are like, "Oh, you poor soul! Like, you're on the verge of homelessness," you know? And you know, I'm not gonna say, you know, I'll play along. Yeah, man, you know, things are real rough. No, but you know, or even like I said, my in-laws, when I originally met my in-laws in 07, 08 era, where they're like, are you going to be able to provide, you know, by doing skate ramps? Yeah. So my whole life, it's been questioned because this niche is so small of, you know, skateboarding alone is a small niche. And then now you make it more exclusive by only focusing on ramps and nothing else. Yeah. You know, I've created a very, very narrow window, but hey, you know, we've made it work.
Yo, you need large wood t-shirts. You need to bring that back, man. You're gonna sell a lot of those.
For sure.
I think a reunion we should, huh? I got a Woody.
That should be the spin. That should be like the kook slams of like the skate world, is large wood ramps or something. I don't know.
I think you guys are onto something. Yeah.
It should be. It's another avenue.
Well, now we don't need to go to the swap meet for the screen printing, right? No. So we could just go online and everything. But no, I find it fascinating how all these connections link up and everything. You know, how we met you and everything. Honestly, that was originally through Benji reaching out and doing a retreat that we hosted a year ago. Yeah. So it was almost it was a year ago in November. And stuff.
I was so stoked. I was so fucking stoked when I went there and I got to go in there and skate and then meet your team. Mike, I was like, dude, Mike, you're sponsored by Darkstar? I was like, look, I got a Darkstar tattoo. I was like, Darkstar is my favorite company growing up. I mean, to this day it is, but like as a kid.
That is so cool. But no, it's just fascinating how everything pieces together, like you say, with these skaters. And then, you know, I did my first DSG class last weekend. Absolutely loved it. I want to do, you know, more. I learned that I'm a buffoon with a shotgun. And, you know, look at this war wound I got on my knuckle, man. It's rough. Yeah. That gun is heavy. But no, so honestly, I feel very grateful to have these friendships with you guys. And I think, you know, your service that you guys have contributed to us is enormous. And, you know, us pedestrians and skateboarders, you know, can't necessarily repay back what all you guys have done for us. So for whatever it's worth, we thank you.
No, thank you. We appreciate the support. We do. And when I first hear that, I kind of felt awkward. Like, how do I respond? Like, you know, but now it's well, I appreciate it because we've now been in, or when I was in, you see the opposite end when people have signs of like fucking baby killers or no for oil, or they're throwing piss bottles at you and you're like, what the fuck? Like, okay, but so I appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming here and sharing your story and Thank you for continuing to open your doors for us to skate, and whatever we can help you with, or I can help with, training or not training, man, you let me know. Or go to the Young Money setup. Just let me know, man.
Security.
Security.
Angel, we need you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, thank you guys. And yeah, really the only way that we can, the smallest way that I feel that we could show, you know, a slight amount of gratitude is by us hosting these events. And that's why I opened the doors initially, you know, to Benji a year ago with 6 Feet Above and everything. But and through that course of time, we've made so many friendships just with just these random guys that are coming through.
Yeah.
There's one individual that came through, I think, on one of the first retreats, and he's the lead singer of like this death metal band, you know, from the Midwest. And so when he came in my office and saw the Iron Maiden mural that I've got and all the guitars on the wall, I mean, I felt like an instant brotherhood, you know, with this guy. So anyways, good friendships, good relationships. So no, we appreciate you guys, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Anything else last that you want to plug in?
Nada.
No.
I think we said it.
Brian?
We're good. I think we're good. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. That's a wrap.